Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to the pipeline. Hope you're doing well. We got quite the stream for you today. We only streamed about 4 days ago, but since then we've had multiple trailers and updates on DCU and MCU and an amazing episode of Secret Invasion. I am very excited to talk about it with y'all. This is actually my first stream ever. My name is Scrawl Taz, and I am joined with regular co-host Scrawl Darren. Scrawl Darren, how's it going? How is it taking that back seat today?
Oh, I mean, it's going well. I mean, we're just swapping spots. We're just, everything's we're taking over, just like all the scrolls in Secret Invasion, just assuming new identities.
Absolutely, man. It's quite strange because watching that show, I don't think you normally get scroll representation normally, right?
Yeah.
And my cousin actually got casted in that show to play a scroll, and actually I think that's really cool because you
Oh,
don't
wow.
normally see that. Jumping right
Yeah.
into the chat real early, Taj is here. Taj, regular Taj. I don't think that's scroll Taj. I think that's just Taj. It's great to see you. But while we're on topic of our main co-host Darren, who hasn't been here in a while, he actually sent me another photo from his vacation that I kind of
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
bring up real quick. So I'm pretty sure he's on the set of Deadpool 3 currently, which is quite insane. So he sent this photo, which I don't really know what this means. He seems to be happy, seems to be having a great time, but quite confusing if you ask me. But as long as he's having fun, I guess that's all good on him. I also wanted to start the stream. So I saw this TikTok the other day,
Okay.
and I'm all very much for like positive content. And I saw this TikTok, and I thought it was really funny. I did kind of want to share it with you guys. So let me pull this up really quick here. Sorry about that.
What's up, folks? James Gunn and DC Comics just announced that one of my best friends is going to be playing the role of Superman in Superman Legacy. Let's talk about it. So what we have here is a finely curated list by myself of the pros and cons of my friend David getting the role of Superman. Let's start with the pros. This is the role of a lifetime, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Holy shit, David. Congrats. This is fucking amazing. I'm proud of you. I love you. Second, he owes me money, and he'll finally be able to pay me back. I've taken him out to lunch a few times. I spotted him for like coffee and everything, and it's about time he pays up. 3, he might get another dog. With funds like this, what else is there to do? Moving right into the cons. He can't direct or shoot the podcast that we had been planning on doing, my music videos in the future, any short films, or anything for me anymore. That kind of fucking sucks. He's going to be way too busy for video games and like watching Vine compilations on YouTube. Those were the good old days. He'll always be flying around and he'll never have enough time to catch up because, I don't know, that's what Superman does, I guess. And then he's probably going to be on some stupid diet and a workout plan, which obviously doesn't work for me. I don't have the time or energy for that. So with all that being said, I'm really excited to see what happens with this new journey for my friend David. And also congrats to Rachel Brosnahan. That is fucking sick. You guys are going to be so good together. Love you both.
I saw that I think last week, and I just thought it was the cutest thing ever, and I kind of wanted to show up because I don't know, it feels like there's so much negativity surrounding this movie, this casting especially, and kind of going into it, I was like, oh man, he's going to list why Henry Cavill shouldn't be Superman or something, whatever. But I just thought it was very cute. I wanted to show that positivity.
Super nice. Very, very nice having your buddies to support you and everything. So yeah, super nice.
It's really insane just to think about that. Like, you could grow up with anybody, and just someday they'll be like massive stars. Like that's a thought that crosses my mind. Like, Taz, in 16 years, you might become our new Batman once Jensen Ackles retires, or like whoever we cast as Batman.
Who knows? That'd be crazy. Then I guess that takes away the opportunity to make theory videos anymore. Unfortunately,
true.
That's like the only downside to being in a universe like that is like then you just can't make content about it. But then technically you can make behind the scenes content, which would be even more fun.
I mean, you could make content about it. That'd be very funny. I hope someone does that.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I've always been so interested in just like the behind the scenes aspect of things. Like, if I was ever, on a movie set, if I was acting in a movie, directing, producing anything like that, I would love to just like document the process.
Sure.
And that would be the content.
There's one thing that I think HBO is doing currently, which I really love, is they've been doing their like podcasts after each episode where they talk about the like
Yeah,
behind the scene things about how they filmed it, what their thought was going into like filming those episodes. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think that's a great way to market it.
Right.
I
know
I
those
always
for The Last of Us were very popular.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I always thought if I ever made a show, I would love to do like I don't know how you would do it, but like do live streams, like do like a live Q&A about how you do those episodes, and I think that'd be a really fun
Basically
way.
like a director's commentary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be very fun. So speaking of commentary, let's talk about Willy Wonka. That was a terrible transition.
Oh god.
So Wonka is a movie I've been weirdly excited for. I don't know how you feel about this. I really enjoy that original Willy Wonka film. I haven't seen the Johnny Depp one. I haven't seen that one, but I've always been a big fan.
That one's my favorite actually of the two.
Sure. I mean, it's weird because I think it's a movie where like obviously there's going to be people who are like, why is this getting made? Why are we doing another reboot or like whatever? But I really just like the concept of exploring young Willy Wonka because it always does feel like the main focus has been Charlie. He seems like, I don't know, because both those original movies, from what I could tell, are very similar to each other. Like those do feel like very like that's the same story done.
Yeah, I mean the Johnny Depp one is basically just like a slightly darker retelling of the first one from what I remember. I haven't seen them in forever, but I do remember watching both of them quite a bit when I was younger, but I always for some reason gravitated towards the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, these weren't movies I like grew up on or anything. But we finally got that trailer, and I think we really needed a trailer. I think people needed to see kind of what this movie was all about, and I think this first trailer kind of right off the bat did a really good job at selling people. I've seen a weird amount of hype over the last couple of days about this movie. I don't know if you had watched the trailer yet.
Yeah, I watched the trailer last night. Before watching it, I saw something about a chocolate cartel, and I was like, what is that? What are we going to be doing in this movie? And then I saw the trailer, and then it kind of made sense. It does very much so seem like a retelling, an origin story, possibly setting up for like sequels and everything like that. This is definitely not going to be a movie that I rush out to the theaters to go see, but whenever I'm, scrolling through channels, if it's free on HBO one night, if it's free on Max, I'll definitely give it a watch, but definitely not something that I'm going to go out of my way to go see in theaters, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I could definitely understand that, especially if you're not maybe someone who loves those original movies, right? This is not at the top of your film list.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other things coming out that I'd
like
much rather save up to go see rather aside from this.
I will say I'm very excited to see, because it does definitely have a Paddington vibe, because I love that first Paddington movie. I haven't seen the second one yet. I've really been meaning to, because I hear it's just absolutely fantastic. Have you seen these movies at all, the like Paddington films?
No, I have not, unfortunately.
It's so crazy because I feel like the first one really went under the. I guess both kind of did, and then during COVID they really blew up. Like at one point, Paddington 2 was the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes, and for a lot of people, like they are some of the best films ever made. And I love that from that side of the internet. And I get that same Paddington vibe here, where I get a mix of like Paddington, a bit of like Harry Potter, and also a mix of like your almost like those. A lot of your Disney live action movies. So like very like Mary Poppins-esque, where it is just kind of very happy and positive, and like everyone sings and dances, and I kind of love that.
You know what I'm kind of getting a vibe from on this? A super random deep cut. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. I don't know why that just came to mind, but it kind of feels like that as well. That is a random movie that I ended up actually seeing in theaters when I was younger, and I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely has that like 2000s vibe, that like
Yeah.
early, like that like
Yeah, it
2010
does.
vibes. Like you're like night at the museum, and
Mm-hmm.
your Mary Poppins and like your Nanny McPhee's and your stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'm interested to see what the reception is once it comes out.
mhm.
But again, not something that I'll rush out to the theaters to go see unless there's like overwhelmingly positive, like you have to go see this movie in theaters type of thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I I will probably. I'm actually very. I like that this is a Christmas movie because this feels
Mm,
very like in line with just kind of like a fun holiday film that you can take your family to. I think could be a
yeah.
really fun vibe. Obviously we have to talk about Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. Um, I like that casting a lot. I think that's a lot of fun. I hope. I wonder if this is going to be a franchise movie as well, because I know a lot of movies are flopping this year, and I think there's a lot of franchises they wanted to continue this year that they probably won't, due to just them not making money. But
Mm-hmm.
I think this trailer definitely gives you that wonder and glee where I could see it getting a sequel or getting a second movie. And there's a lot of time in between this and when the movies would quote unquote take place, if that's the original or if that's the like 2011 one, 2010 one.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
no.
mean,
Good.
it does seem it does seem like the start of like maybe a new sort of cinematic universe, but
Mhm.
I think it kind of all depends also on just the reception of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, next up we have Ahsoka. So Ahsoka is kind
Yes.
of your side of the table. I'm trying to get caught up with Clone Wars. I'm trying to get caught up where we can kind of somewhat keep up with it when it comes out. So obviously you're a massive Star Wars guy, Land, or
Yes.
a Taz. My goodness. So what was your kind of straight off opinion on this second trailer for Ahsoka?
This second trailer showed off like everything that I wanted it to show off. There was a lot that was missing from that original trailer that was released back at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year. We'd gotten some leaks from people that had been at Celebration, kind of showing off like certain things that we didn't see in the trailer in that first one. But here in the second trailer, it gives you a much better idea, kind of like of the direction of the show, kind of what's going to be focused on. In the series, we did also have it confirmed that it's going to be a two episode premiere as well, which I was not expecting. So that'll be pretty fun. We get a much closer look at that random Inquisitor as well, that a lot of people are thinking could be a character from the Clone Wars. That I know. Obviously, you're still doing your rewatch of it, but I'll just leave it at that. Could be a character from the Clone Wars. Could also be. I love the theory that it might be Starkiller as well, from the Force Unleashed games, to possibly make him canon. I would love to see that. But yeah, there's just so much craziness going on in this trailer. It looks like they are really diving deeper into kind of like the mystical, magical elements of the Star Wars universe, especially with like the music in it as well. You haven't gotten to this part, but there's this thing called the World Between Worlds, and I'm not going to go super deep into the explanation of it, but it seems like our Dark Jedi are searching for this to find Thrawn, as well as Ahsoka and Sabine will kind of be also searching for it to find Ezra from Star Wars Rebels, and it seems like it's going to be very much so a true Star Wars Rebels Season 5, but in live action. And the like final big thing from this trailer, a lot of people are talking about it. Sabine is also front and center in this trailer, which is very fun to see. And there's a lot of questions being thrown around whether or not she is force sensitive. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see once the series comes out. But that's definitely a very interesting question that I didn't think this show would actually bring up. But yeah, I'm just so excited to see the Ahsoka series. Dave Filoni is at the helm. He created the character of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and I just can't wait to see what he does with his creation in live action.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I, kind of like as an outsider to all of this, and trying to, I guess, catch up, and I think Ahsoka's always been really exciting to me because I guess just as a Marvel fan, also just kind of seeing fans win and getting this
Yeah.
character in live action, like that's what people wanted from Daredevil and Agents of Shield for so many years. So seeing not only like a character from the like animated shows get featured, but also get her own project, and just
Yeah.
there'd be so much hype
I mean,
around this.
yeah, there was a point in time where people thought we would not see Ahsoka again, and that's all I'm gonna say. Is people thought that we weren't gonna see her again, and the fact that we not only have seen her multiple times showing up in not only The Mandalorian, but in the Book of Boba Fett as well, and now to have her own series, it's kind of crazy, especially from where this character started at the beginning of Clone Wars. And yeah, Taj saying that she's not Force sensitive. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Sabine is basically just going to be training with Ezra's lightsaber, maybe diving deeper into like the philosophical side of the Force, kind of trying to understand it so that she can kind of prepare herself for the fight ahead, for the world between worlds, for Thrawn, for finding Ezra, and has kind of looked to Ahsoka as sort of like a master, but not so much as like a master teaching her the Force, but more so a master teaching her some more saber combat and just kind of, again, the more like spiritual and philosophical side of the Force. And yeah, I don't think she's gonna have Force sensitivity, but you know, there's also, it's always been said too that every character to an extent has a connection with the Force as well.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm saying a lot of stuff that you're
Yeah,
not quite caught up with.
I totally know.
Dude, literally in like a couple months, you will understand it. You will be the
Sure.
the biggest Star Wars fan ever. Just trust me. Get through Clone Wars, get through Rebels. It is amazing.
What up, Miata? I do really hope the show does well, and I hope fans feel satisfied, because I know recently with Star Wars TV, a lot of fans haven't been like they weren't too happy with Boba Fett. They weren't too happy with just all the Kenobi. And I feel like that is a big part of Star Wars now, is that like half the fan base is going to love something, half is going to hate it. But do you think this show is going to please people? Because I have heard good, like I've heard it has gotten a lot of praise recently. Like I hear people who have seen it who love it. And do you think that this will be received well by fans?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, especially with the reception of Rosario Dawson's version of Ahsoka that we've seen in the past, I think people are already going into the series wanting to love it. And if we see a lot of the elements that have been teased to us, if we see a lot of the things from the leaks and stuff like that, it seems like this series is going to be really incredible. And again, I really trust, Dave Filoni to pull through here to make a great series, because once again, he is the creator of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars. He was basically George Lucas's apprentice at Lucasfilm, so he is kind of the guy at Lucasfilm right now that knows what's going on, and I would trust no one but him with a project like this. So I'm very much so hopeful that this series will be one of the best.
Absolutely, man. I really hope that they don't doom the fans here. So next topic, Doom Patrol. Great segue, Darren. Love it. So Doom Patrol has been a weird one. Now I know you're not a huge. We're actually just whipping this guy. The thing.
Yeah, literally flipping. Yeah, yeah. I dipped out after season 1.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you don't like season 1, you're not gonna like any of it, because I think that's the peak of Doom Patrol. But I think Doom Patrol fans have been in a really weird spot, because season 4 came out, I think, November-ish, the first half of this now final season. And since then, Titans came back for its final season, and we were kind of like, okay, probably sometime after Titans this will come out, but it's been like a month and a half since then. I know me and a lot of other people have been like, is it possible that they could scrap the show? And we were told no, because that's not legal, since they already released half the season. But, there's still that doubt. And like with everything that happened at like Warner Brothers, we weren't quite sure. But one of our actors came out and she's like, y'all, I don't know if this is coming out anymore. I think they may have scrapped it. And the internet blew up and went wild. I just kind of want to show my, like, I was at work when I saw that she sent that out. And I was very angry, especially since you look at that girl, which Brandon Fraser was also in that project, and that was scrapped for a tax write-off. Can you imagine if they took out 2 of like Brandon Fraser's DC projects? That would have been absurd.
I
That would
just
have been
couldn't.
absurd.
I just couldn't see a company ever scrapping the second half of a season that's
Mhm.
already done. Like that
Yeah.
would just be really, really weird to me.
It's so weird. I think that would have been absurd, and I would have hated it. And it sucks because I don't know, because this show is just so good. Like I know the show is not for everyone. I know you said you weren't a big fan of it, but I do think it's one of the more consistently great DC shows. Like I think season one's one of my favorite DC seasons of all time. I thought season two was a bit of a letdown. But and then season three, and now especially season four, which has been absolutely amazing. And to like come out of it and be like, actually, we're not doing it anymore, would have been very devastating. But thanks to James Gunn, he's like, yo, guys, calm down. We're just waiting for the writer's strike to get finished. And if that's true, we might be waiting a while longer.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what's happening. I know there's a lot of things with like the acting guild as well. But like, could we be waiting till like next year? I hope that's not the case. But I think with the show just as a whole, I just wanted to end on a good note. I want the show to finish off strong because this season, obviously, I know you're not watching, but like this season does feel like it's kind of setting up for a final season. Like it definitely feels like it could have been more than I think a show like Superman Lois would have, or even Titans. Because like as much as I enjoyed stuff about Titans, and I think you enjoyed the final season, it did not feel like a final season to me outside of
Yeah.
maybe that last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing that final
sort of the same thing
Yeah,
with Stargirl. Even like I thought
Mhm.
that worked as a really good final season, but it didn't really feel like a final season until that final episode. Which again, it's just sad to see all of these DC TV shows kind of fall victim to just what is going on with the networks, what is going on with the writer strike, what is going on with the possible the upcoming actor strike now. It just like everything is kind of suffering because of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But at least for a lot of these shows, they're getting somewhat of a notice, so they're able to kind of shift around things and make that final episode a true finale, at least to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, no. I think, I think, I do wonder how much of these shows knew what going in, because
Mm-hmm.
like shows like Doom Patrol, Stargirl really felt like they were gearing up for their final season, and then like your Titans, especially Superman and Lois, like Superman and Lois never felt to me like they were gearing up for one final showdown. Like if anything,
Oh
they
yeah,
knew
not at all. Like this entire season of Superman and Lois was building up to setting up the next season. You know, you can really
100%.
kind of think about it like that. It's almost like a bridging season.
You know,
Not in a
100%.
bad way. Not in a bad way, but just kind of all in all, you kind of thinking about it in
Yeah.
retrospect. It's almost like the entire season was building up to Lex, which is building up to season 4. So it would have been very weird if we didn't get that 4th season.
Yeah, like as much as I love that episode and I love that cliffhanger, I kind of hate them for it. Like they took such a risk, and I think they did
Yeah.
what Legends did. Like I think they tried to do what Legends did, because I think they thought, well, if we do Doomsday, there's no way they can cancel us.
Right. They very much so went into it assuming like, hey, we're Superman and Lois. Like we're not gonna get canned. We can do whatever we want for this finale. We can make a crazy cliffhanger. And
If they could cancel Batman, then they could cancel a Superman show, 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope this comes out soon. I hope we see the light of day for these characters, and one last outing. Bro, it would have been actually really funny if the last time we saw these characters was Titans. Like that'd be really funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Stargirl did it. Like that's the last time we saw Stargirl. So
right. But it kind of worked though. In a weird way, it kind of worked. It didn't feel like it would, like the two tones would mesh well. But the fact that it was a Beast Boy centric episode, like the two of them really kind of worked well together, and it made me wish that we had gotten more.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I actually do really like Stargirl's thing, because it kind of like felt like it was beyond of what the show was. Like her legacy is now something more than just a 3-season show. Like she's out there in the multiverse somewhere, and she's crossing over with other heroes, and she's going on all these different adventures. And I love that. I guess. So Chainsaw Reacts is in the stream. How's it going, buddy? Lance is
Hello,
in the
Chainsaw.
stream.
Hello,
Buddy
Lance.
Noah is in the stream, working at the
Hello,
moment. But
hello.
how's the stream, everyone? Good so far. We
Stream's
got some
going well.
we got some fun topics ahead. Up next here we have Blue Beetle. So
It's Beetle time.
Blue Beetle, man, it's kind of been a weird road to Blue Beetle, I think, because this movie has been in the works, or at least in the talks, for such a long time, and now it feels like an even weirder film because it was supposed to be bridging this new universe in the Flashpoint universe, and now it seems to be bridging some sort of connective tissue to James Gunn's DCU. And after how they ended the Flash and just DC in a weird spot, I think this is a very weird kind of DC movie, kind of just where it's at the moment. Same with Aquaman. And we got an official trailer. Now, I was slightly worried we wouldn't get a second trailer. And normally I wouldn't be, because normally they would always release a second trailer. But I think where the Flash has left Warner Brothers, and how much money they lost in marketing, there's a part of me that was like, is there a world where they could not put out a trailer? If they're just like, hey, let's just have this come out and we don't lose as much money and we call it a day. That's what I was really afraid of. But they did release an official trailer this week. So kind of right off the bat, what was your thoughts on this new trailer?
Well, I did notice that it was also labeled as a final trailer. So I don't think we're going to get any more like full-length trailers outside of maybe some TV spots right before the movie comes out. I know that there's been quite a bit of criticism saying that it showed maybe too much of the movie off, and I somewhat agree on that. Like, we got to see a lot of the villain, which oddly also kind of reminded me of like Iron Man 2 Whiplash. I don't know if that was kind of brought up for you as well. But yeah, I feel like we did see quite a bit of the movie. It was more so like an extended version of the original trailer as well, kind of giving a little bit more context to a lot of what was going on. And in some ways that's great, but in other ways I'm like, I kind of wish we would have maybe kept it a little bit more mysterious and not shown off quite as much, because I feel like we're seeing a lot of the third act in here as well. But I'm still very, very excited to see the movie. I think, again, it kind of showed off the suit in a very great light as well. It's very, very practical. Like, there is a full practical suit. There's not a kind of like mocap, pajama thing going on here. Like, this is a true physical suit. They're not covering it up too much with CGI. Obviously, there are certain shots where, it does have to be, done with special effects, but I think just whenever we see the suit kind of like in a stationary position, kind of outside of action sequences, it looks amazing. And it also looks pretty cool when he takes the helmet down as well. But yeah, I'm excited for this movie. Just kind of wish they didn't show off as much as they did in this trailer. You are muted, my friend.
No, I think this is kind of a weird movie, because I don't think we're in for some deep film. I think this is going to end up being one of the more, I don't want to say basic, but I think it's going to be one of the more simple superhero movies, because I definitely see a lot of the superhero formulas in here, and I also see a lot of the, like, I don't know what the word is, but like I call it the like ET formula, where like a teenage kid finds some mysterious creature or robot and they adopt it in, and then the evil scientists are after them, and then they bond with each other and he protects the creature from the evil scientists. Like, we've seen
it kind
so
of feels
many
like DC Ben 10. Like the Scarab is the Omnitrix.
A little bit. Yeah, you definitely get that like Max Steel Ben 10 type vibe with it. And I like it. Yeah, it's definitely very 2000s. I think the film as a whole feels like that. Again, I don't always think that's a bad thing, especially since these, like, it feels like it had been a while since we had an origin movie.
Yeah, like I'm a sucker for a good origin movie. Like, I think this one is shaping up to be a fun one. It's going to be a good jumping off point as well, because it's not going to be so much focused on like world building or anything like that. It's going to be really dropping us into this established world already. I know Sholo has said that, keep your eyes out for DC characters popping up in this movie. So I guess we're going to be getting some cameos, or at least some teases at, the future. I know we've been getting a lot of castings. We're going to be going into those castings a little bit later on, but I guess I would not be surprised if we saw some of these characters that are going to be showing up in Superman Legacy, possibly showing up here in this movie, or maybe just characters that we will see in the future of the DCU, because this is the jumping off point for the new DCU. And I'm excited for that, because it's fun to start with the not a character that you would think of, like Blue Beetle. Whoever would have thought that we would be kicking off an entire universe with Blue Beetle?
Sure.
So
yeah, no, it's definitely a weird one, because like he said that at the Barbie premiere recently, and I was almost wondering if maybe like how much of that was true, because like there was, just like Flash and just like Aquaman, I think there's going to be several versions of this movie. I assume that there was a version of this movie with Michael Keaton. I assume there was maybe a version with Ben Affleck. So, like when they reference Batman, like I bet they had a version in mind when they made the movie. So I wonder if I wonder if he thinks that like Michael Keaton's in here, but really they had to take him out. Or if he's up to date and he knows, like maybe. David Cornsweat's in here. And
I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but I would not put money on it.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either.
I think they're going to be very small I think they're going to be very small cameos, if not just small like Easter eggs and references. Like maybe you'll see like on a newspaper, like Superman saves cat from tree in Metropolis. Like it might be something along those lines even.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of would prefer if there is nothing. Like I kind of want this to be a very straightforward one-off movie. And then we can feel like there's a really fresh start with Superman Legacy in 2 years. Yeah. And like I know we're getting the like Creature Commandos and stuff like that, and Waller probably next year, but I think, having be like, all right, it starts here and then again here and then again here and then finally again here with Superman Legacy. I think there's going to be a bit of a disconnect with people.
Maybe.
Which is why I still wish Superman was first. Like, that's one of my only nitpicks with the current DCU lineup. Like, I like all the projects that are here, but I don't like having 3 projects before Superman. I think there needs to be a direct disconnect from everything. And if you want to bring people back, that's fine, but you need to have a starting point, which I think should be Superman. But that's just me.
I definitely see where you're coming from there. I mean, I think also there was a shot in the trailer that did show a LexCorp tower.
I saw that
next to Cord Industries. So we're already starting with the world building. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Like it does feel like we're kind of going in a bunch of different directions before we actually like really start the universe. Like we're almost kind of like soft rebooting and then full rebooting.
Yes. Yeah. I think James Gunn has an impossible task.
Currently. Oh yeah, because he came in and there were already so many things in motion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, he had to end a current universe. He had to like promote these 4 movies that were done. And then he also had to like merge these 2 worlds, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for me to say like, okay, I would do it like this and this and this, but like I know I couldn't do it nearly as good a job as I think he's going to do. Like I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a difficult task to come in here to something that's already established and have to completely shift everything around and just change the entire direction of this past universe and recreate an entirely new cinematic universe. But still kind of hold on to some of that foundation that was already built.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like ideally, I would have merged Flashpoint better. Like I would have loved a more flesh and dry. Okay, he's going back in time, and he's literally like we can literally see it morphing into the new universe that we're jumping into, and then we wouldn't have the Blue Beetle and Aquaman. Like we could have them come out at a later point where it merges in better. But like what can you do? Like I know that it's just such a mess of a thing currently, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean I trust James Gunn. Like I think at the end of the day we just have to be patient and just kind of wait and see how things play out, and wait until we actually kind of get into the thick of things and we can't really judge too early on, because again, he has very little involvement in some of these things that are coming out right now, like Blue Beetle, like Aquaman 2. Like, I think he has maybe some little inputs here and there, but for the most part, these movies were all filmed before he was even brought on board.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think just as the trailer itself, like, I don't think I actually skipped over most of my thoughts on it. But no, I thought it was a fine trailer. I definitely think they showed a lot. But again, I don't know if there's a lot to show. Like, I think it is going, like, I think what we see in the trailers is what we get. I don't think there's going to be a massive twist in the story. Like, I think he... Go ahead.
No,
I see you have a thought. Go ahead.
I think the only thing that we might not be seeing in these trailers that could be an element of the movie is the search for Ted Kord, possibly.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Like, I think that it would be great if maybe we got a post-credit scene that was Ted Kord is off time traveling with Booster Gold, and then that sets up for the Booster Gold project.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely another option for your cameo. Like, if they... I don't know if they would have casted Booster Gold so early. Like, I think in another timeline, you could have definitely had, like, the movie ending with Booster Gold. But, like, I feel like if we haven't casted Batman yet, I don't know if we casted Booster Gold, because Booster Gold seems like 2027,
but that could also
maybe.
Be kind of an easy thing to just tack on at the end, like a quick 2 to 3 minute scene. Get an actor in for Booster Gold, get somebody in for Ted Kord, and just do a little stinger at the end that, again, kind of like shows the direction that we're going to be going at some point in the future. Yeah,
no, I could see that. I really could. And again, I'm so excited for that, because I think James Gunn has showed over and over again he's keeping this guy no matter what. Like, I think this movie could make $2 and he's in. He's in for sure. So I'm excited for him to interact with Booster Gold, of course, and your Teen Titans and your Superman, I guess, or your Batman. But we'll see. Alrighty, up next we have, speaking of a Flashpoint,
Flashpoint 2.
Escape the Midnight Circus have released their first 2 episodes over on Apple Podcasts. So we've talked about this in our last 3 streams now. It's been a evolution. Like, I would have never guessed when this got announced that 3 streams later we'd be talking about it. Like, it came out 2 weeks ago. They announced it. And I was like, okay, sounds like a fun one-off thing, whatever. The following week, we find out it's canon to the movie, or I guess it's supposed to be canon to the DCU timeline, and then it's out. Like, it came out the 10th, so 2 days ago by this point. I threw it on while I was at work, and I will say I had a really good time with this. I had a blast listening to it. I love Max Greenfield, and I think I just, again, getting to hear Max Greenfield playing Barry Allen was just such a pleasure, because I love him as an actor. I think he did just, like, if he's supposed to be Ezra Flash, I think he played a recasted Ezra perfectly. Like, he sounds like Ezra Miller. I think he was the perfect replacement if we're trying to copy him. If the, like, DCU wants someone that looks exactly like Ezra, cast him, because I think he looks great, or I guess not looks great, but sounds great as that version. And I know he talked about in that trailer thing, like the best part of being the Flash is not having to do all the stunts and stuff. So maybe he wouldn't want to, but like, what was your kind of just, off the wall reactions, or I guess kind of opinion on these first 2 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't really feel the connection to the Flash film. I don't feel that DCEU connection or the DCU connection, outside of the fact that he just sounds like he's doing almost an Ezra Miller Flash impression. But in many ways, I think his version of the character worked better. Like, they really kind of leaned into just, like, the humor, the quips, and everything like that. And I was watching it while I was doing cardio, so I could just kind of, like, zone out and just kind of envelop myself in the story and everything. And just, like, I think they did a really good job of giving you, like, kind of visual reference to as far as what was going on, because I really could kind of visualize this this story, and I was like, this could have been a cool like animated thing or whatever, but it sounds great. You've got some sound effects in there. I was laughing like crazy, like just like the fun things that Barry was doing. We got to see Captain Cold or hear Captain Cold. We got some funny quips and stuff like that as well. And I enjoyed it. It's not like a crazy revolutionary thing. It's not super groundbreaking. It's not going to make the largest DCU impact. But if they just want to release something to kind of coincide with the digital release of the Flash film, I think this works, and I'll be tuning back in when I'm doing just nothing. So, you know, they've got me hooked. I'm somewhat interested. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really loved certain elements of this. I also, I guess weirdly enough, disliked certain elements of this. I think when it comes to like just the characterization of some of these characters, I was a little turned off, especially trying to think that this was the same Barry that we've seen before, because these do feel like drastically different characters. Like,
right, it feels like he hasn't learned his lesson from the Flash movie. Like, that was kind of my biggest thing, is like he felt like he was almost regressing. Like, this is 100%. Supposed to be a Barry that is at the peak of his career as the Flash, but apparently he's having trouble balancing his superhero life and his personal life. But then also that element of like Iris not understanding it, or just like not being okay with it. But like, she's like, oh no, like obviously I know you're the Flash, you gotta do your thing, but like, I wish you would spend more time with me. But it's like, he's gotta go save the city, and like, she was getting mad at him for saving people, and I was like, that seems weird for a version of Iris to say.
100%. Yeah, like there were hostages, and like she was getting upset with him about
it's
that.
Like, Barry, why did you go save those hostages? You should have stayed with me for my award ceremony. Like, dude,
I also, there's like, even Barry is kind of weird at times, because like they are calling for his help, and there's a scene where he's like, but could you handle it by yourself? I'm kind of busy here. I'm like, Barry,
I love that.
You saved the hostages.
I love that. The guy was like, okay, we're gonna just like break in the bank, and then Barry's like, you know what, never mind, I'll be on my way.
I also thought it was weird how, like, not even Iris but Barry, they were all kind of willing just to share their identity with like anyone. Like, he was
they just kind of like very quickly were like, what is it, doctor-patient confidentiality.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
And the psychiatrist was like, and what do you mean by super speed?
And then he just talked about it with like, I think it's Cat Grant in this like alternate reality. He's like, I'm from this other reality.
Oh, that was actually hilarious. That was actually hilarious. It was like, okay, so we've got a Mr. Barry Allen here. He's apparently from another timeline. Something about a wormhole. Is he allowed to compete in these crazy death games? Mm-hmm. He's still in the same body. Yeah. Okay. Yep. You're good to go. And then Barry's like, that is not what I meant.
No. I think just though, like, this weird thing with Cat Grant and Captain Boomerang was hilarious. Like, that's such a fun back and forth that they had. There was lines that he said. I can't remember it. And no, I think it was like, it was Heatwave versus this like small
just a random like a random lady that did like tax evasion or something like that.
Yeah, sure. And he's like, who's gonna win? He's like, I don't know. It's gonna be a tough match. And he just murders this random woman. But I think my biggest issue was, especially if this is supposed to be our Barry, there's like a scene where he's like, I might create a wormhole, a timeline that like destroys the world. Oh well, who cares? Whatever, it's fine. And the only way that works for me, if he lost his memories, because I know in some version of the Flashpoint he like loses the memories of his past life, right? Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, then okay, whatever. But then why make it canon to the movie?
Yeah, I feel like I would have less issues if they didn't throw in a one-off line saying, oh, it's set 2 years after the Flash 100%. Movie. Like, I think people going into it that haven't seen that trailer will be fine, because it very much so feels like it's disconnected, like it's separate, like it's its own thing. But if you're viewing it from the perspective that, oh, this is the natural progression of the Ezra Miller Flash into this character that has once again not learned their lesson and is willing to destroy the timeline and destroy the multiverse as we know it for just silly personal reasons.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't really make much sense how he ended up in this other timeline. Like, maybe I'll just throw in a random theory that maybe since it's a take on Flashpoint, Reverse Flash just chucked him on another Earth just to like make his life miserable. I think that would be hilarious. And then we could get "It was me, Barry. I threw you into the Midnight Circus so that you would have to compete and die," or something. I don't know.
It'd be very funny if like the movies couldn't get him, but this random low budget podcast got him.
Yeah.
No, I actually really do like the whole like Midnight Circus thing. Like, I know a lot of people were complaining about the fact that it's a Flash podcast and Barry doesn't have his powers, but like as a fan of like Hunger Games and stuff like that, I just love.
Wait, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it is. It feels like the Hunger Games.
Oh, it's just Hunger Games. It really just is. It's Hunger Games, but with DC characters. And I kind of like that. Like, I like Hunger Games with Aquaman and Cyborg and Heatwave and the Flash. Like, that's just a fun concept to me. I assume he's going to get his powers back, maybe hit halfway through or something. Because I actually thought that the way they used his powers was a lot of fun. Like just hearing him rush around and hearing the like lightning was really fun. I know a lot of people were very confused why you would choose the Flash of all characters to do a podcast of when his main thing is like you can see him running,
right,
like running being a power you'd want to.
Character.
Yeah. So, but you know, I think from what we saw, I guess heard, I thought it sounded really cool, and I kind of wanted to hear more of his running stuff, I guess.
And so what do you think about the fact that there's a version of Iris now that's also like in the middle of all of this, and like, I don't know, maybe Barry's gonna have to fight her in like the finale or something? That would be kind of random.
Yeah. It seems like, you know, just from things we've heard, it seems like she might be the villain of this whole thing. It might come down to
Reverse Iris.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious. I wonder, because like Barry and Captain Cold almost have this nice little friendship going, which I'm actually quite enjoying. I wonder if like Iris murders Captain Cold, and then that's this like tension. What a weird sentence. But like in the final thing, it's like Barry gets really upset that his girlfriend just killed his new friend or something. I don't know. That could be kind of cool.
I just realized Iris backwards is Siri.
Okay.
So reverse Iris is Siri. Okay. I'm done.
Maybe that's her name over here. Actually, I think, didn't people say that during the like mirror arc thing? I think I remember people
maybe
saying,
you are,
calling her Siri.
That is true. That'd be funny.
This just sounds like a really weird Flash fanfic.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe. I think the story's fun. I think my only issues are really just coming from how sometimes you write Barry, because I do think he comes across as a dick sometimes, and I know that can be Barry sometimes. Like, I know that is certain versions of that character. But again, if it's supposed to be, again, I would have no issues if this was just a new thing, fresh thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do like a whole, I know not everything needs to turn into like a franchise, but like you could start a whole thing from here. Like, then you could do a Superman one or a Batman one. Obviously you can do your Harley Quinns that they love to do and all that stuff if you wanted to expand more on it, if this did well. So I don't know. Alrighty, so I don't have a transition. So DCU, I was gonna do something like speaking of things doing well, and I don't know. So yesterday while we were on stream, we were over filming for our other podcast, Party Nation, and we just start the stream and this drops, and it was just such a fun time getting to talk about this live. But since then, how are you kind of feeling about all this casting and what does this mean? So I guess, basically, I guess you guys need to find out who's who. So Nathan Fillion has been casted as Guy Gardner. Ida Gadege, that's probably not saying that right, as Mr. Terrific, and Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl in the DCU in Superman Legacy. So I expected one of these characters. We expected Mr. Terrific, right? Like, we had heard rumors that he was going to be casted or, be in this movie in some shape or form. But
Right.
Hawkgirl was a shock for me. And Guy Gardner was most definitely a shock to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking if we were going to get Nathan Fillion as a Green Lantern, it would be Hal Jordan because he voiced him in the animated stuff. But I know James Gunn posted like a comic cover of Mr. Terrific a little while back, so people were like, okay, Mr. Terrific's going to pop in. Hawkgirl was kind of like out of left field. Like, I was not expecting that character to pop in here, but it almost seems like he's assembling a small JSA for Superman Legacy, so these are maybe the established heroes in this universe.
That'd be cool.
When Superman appears, and maybe he gets that takes inspiration from the JSA, and that's what leads us into a full-fledged Justice League a little bit later on once we establish some more of our kind of like core League members with Batman, maybe once we get our Wonder Woman and everything in this new DCU. But yeah, this kind of surprised me. Like, we got our Superman and Lois casting a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then it was a little radio silent for a bit, and then it's like, okay, more casting. So I feel like James Gunn is just going to confirm more and more characters, and we're just going to have like an entire DC roster by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was supposed to come out yet, but I think with the whole acting guild thing that's supposed to take place, I think they, like, everyone's putting out their trailers now. They are getting the castings out now. I think because it starts at midnight, so like an hour from now. So maybe this might be it for now. But I think maybe he knew about these. This was in the works. Maybe he was saving it. Like, maybe originally it was supposed to be for Comic-Con or something. But when he couldn't go, he's just like, all right, have this now before we can't post it for 8 months or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that almost makes me think I wish we would get a DC fandom. Another
fandom. I really wish you could. I think that'd be such a great thing for fans, because we watched two, and both just felt like a waste of time for like the most part. Like, most of it was ads and stuff like that first one.
Make it an in-person one. Like, take some inspiration from Star Wars Celebration and do a DC fandom that way.
Yeah, I think we might. Yeah, I mean, I think next year is going to be a big one. I think next, like, I don't know. I think next Comic-Con is going to be massive, because that will be about a year from when the movie comes out. I think they might be, all right, here's a whole bunch of new people we're getting. Here's your official trailer. Here's everything kind of leading up to this movie. Maybe we'll have a Batman casting by then. Maybe even a Wonder Woman casting, because I know we're doing the show soon. But I am wondering about Jimmy and Lex. Or, if maybe not Lex, but at least Jimmy and Mr. White. Or I wonder, like, when, because those are obviously going to be massive characters in this movie. And I think that's where a lot of this negativity might be coming from, is that we have Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, but not a Jimmy Olsen, I think is maybe where a lot of the back and forth is heading. Because, if you're just looking at these articles and stuff, you might be like, there's a lot of heroes in here and not a lot of Superman characters. But do you think this is like, do we think they're going to take up a lot of time in this movie? Like, do you think they're big characters?
I mean, I don't want to draw a lot of comparison to Black Adam, but this is almost giving me Black Adam vibes, right? So, like, we might get an established JSA, and then maybe Superman has to team up with them, and then, the theory right now is that the villains will be the Authority, setting up for their film. So,
not according to Grace Randolph.
I
don't know if you saw that post.
No, I didn't.
Apparently, according to her, it was all like a white, like, it was like this was the Authority casting instead of them, and there's not going to be Authority in the movie. According to her,
well, then that makes sense then.
Which I don't trust Grace Randolph. Obviously, I'll never take her word for it. But I could maybe see why maybe Scoopers would get that confused or something, right? That they're casting all these people they would have been for Authority. No, they're Mr. Terrific and all that and all that stuff. I do wonder I will be interesting if they are already the JSA, if that's where we're going with this, or if like Superman, like by the end, Superman inspires them to be the JSA.
Yeah, that'd be interesting as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see them because they're very different characters. Like, we haven't seen a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. We're going to be seeing a different take on Mr. Terrific. We got a really good one over on Arrow, but I'm excited to see this new take. And I was not the biggest fan of our Arrowverse Hawkgirl, so I hope that this will be one maybe more closely based off of, say, like the Justice League Unlimited version. So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, I'm very curious for Hawkgirl because I had even crossed my mind with like, I wonder if she could lead into your first Justice League movie with your like Tharagarian War thing.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
That could be like maybe you're setting the groundworks there.
Setting the groundwork for a Hawkgirl solo movie. I know my mom would be the first one in line for that.
I mean, I think all of these characters are probably getting spin-offs, right? I think Guy Gardner probably just featured in that Green Lantern show, if it's just a cameo or whatever. But I think that show will feature a lot more than just Hal and John Stewart. Mr. Terrific.
It's going to be like a Lantern Corps project.
Absolutely. I think Mr. Terrific, I see a show for him. I could definitely see a world where he gets his own show. I think that'd be a fun... I don't know what that vibe of that show would be, but I could almost see like this is a weird comparison, but almost Dexter. If you've ever seen Dexter, where like it kind of takes place in his mind and you get to see how smart that character is and how he like analyzes things. Even like season 1 Barry. I don't know if you've ever seen like season 1 Barry, where he sees in his mind and he gets to do all the science stuff, where you get to see it like visualized in his head. I think could be kind of cool. And then Hawkgirl, again, I could see it like a Hawks movie or a Hawks show. Or maybe we're just setting it up for a JSA movie.
Yeah.
That could be a thing too.
I would love to see a JSA movie because, again, I think the JSA in Black Adam was the best part of that movie.
Easily.
So I think if they play their cards right, I think we could set up for something very fun. And it would make a lot of sense to have a JSA film before a Justice League film. And because obviously the JSA is supposed to come first, they're supposed to almost kind of be the blueprint, the inspiration. So that'd be very fun.
Bring back John Wesley Shipp, maybe?
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Bring back Brett Bassinger Stargirl.
That'd be great.
And then
that'd
there
be
we
great.
go.
I'm very curious about... I honestly, I'm just so shocked that we're getting Guy before Hal and John. Like, I think that's how... The fact that...
not the Lantern that I would have guessed. Like, if it wasn't going to be Hal Jordan or John Stewart, I was thinking Jessica Cruz, possibly.
After 15 years without a big screen Lantern, it's Guy Gardner. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of the most random one.
But I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, if you want to have a Green Lantern presence, but you don't want to do the big ones yet, like you want to save them for the show, Guy makes sense, I guess.
And it's just fun that it's going to be Nathan Fillion.
That's great casting. I love it.
I know, I love it.
I know a lot of people are mad about his age, doing such an older, because he's in his 50s currently, I think. And a lot of people like the younger Guy Gardner, I guess. Do you have an issue with this?
No, not at all. Like I was again, I thought he was going to be Hal Jordan just because he voiced him in the animated projects and stuff like that. But I think that it's great to just have him as a Lantern and maybe make him somebody that kind of maybe trained alongside Hal Jordan, so they're kind of on that same level. And I don't know how much with that Green Lantern project that they're taking from the original HBO Max series when it was supposed to be like a Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan buddy cop type of thing. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I'm just excited to see a big screen Lantern finally.
Yeah, I know a lot of people currently are mad that they quote unquote fired the other guy because Guy Gardner was casted for the other show.
Yeah.
And I know he was really excited for that. I do feel really, obviously really bad for him. But this, I think, and at least to me, there's a clear disconnect from these two shows. Like there was a clear, that's over now. This is my own thing. And there was
I think the only thing being brought over from that is the fact that it's Green Lanterns.
Yeah, no, I never thought that they were going to keep those same people. And I hope they cameo. Like, there are so many Lanterns. There are thousands of them. Just have them play a random one. Or have them play I mean, I guess he could play Hal if he wanted to. Like he wouldn't look bad for Hal, I guess. But there's so many. And honestly, I say that forever. Like, bring back. I don't know if you want to waste Ryan Reynolds, but like, bring him back. Have him do a cameo just in the
That
weird.
would be funny. Like, if they don't have plans for Hal Jordan, like, imagine they bring him in and they just kill him immediately. Like, so like the Lantern series or I can't remember if it's supposed to be a series or a movie.
It's a show, yeah.
A series. Okay, so the Lantern series starts, right? And it's Ryan Reynolds, Hal Jordan, and he just gets killed off in the first 5 minutes, and then that ring goes and finds Jon Stewart, and it's a Jon Stewart show. I would be content. I would be content with that.
Just the like Justice League War scene where it's.
Or they could do what the animated Green Lantern movie did recently, and make Hal Jordan a villain. And he had like 10 Green Lantern rings, and was just like power hungry. It was crazy.
I know Hal's the main character, so I don't know if they would do that for the show, but maybe. I did not know that. That actually sounds kind of hype.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was the villain. Jon Stewart was the main Lantern, and also Green Arrow was in there as well. So
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun indeed. All right. So
and Hawkgirl was in there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe this is a sequel to that. I don't know. So this also came out today. So Anthony Carrigan, hope that I pronounce it right, has been casted as Metamorpho in Superman Legacy. This came out today. I was actually very happy to see this because obviously know him from Flash. I know him from Gotham. Yes. I also just know him from Barry. Like, I don't know if you've seen Barry. He is masterful in that show. He is one of the most hilarious actors I've ever seen. Such a great character, and to see him like continue in the like DC world, it's a lot of fun. I love when DC does that. We're like, okay, you're done over there. Why don't you come over here? I hope they bring back the one guy who's in everything. He plays like Abracadabra, and he plays
David Desmalchian.
Yeah, I hope they give him something over here.
Yeah, that would be fun. Oh, let him play Abracadabra again.
I would love that. He's so good at that.
He was really good. I was upset when they killed him.
Yeah, he should have been like a main villain. I still stand by that.
Yeah, no, it was great. He was in Dark Knight, and then he was in Gotham, and then he was in Flash. So
he's in some of the animated stuff as well. Like, he's in everything.
And he was in the Ant-Man films.
he was. So Metamorpho, this is a character where I feel like I've seen him in stuff throughout little stuff, but I'm not like super like I'm not an expert in this character or anything. Are you the biggest fan of this character, front to back?
I don't know too much about this character. Again, kind of like you. I've seen him in just random things here and there. But I'm excited that this actor's actually going to get to play more of a heroic character rather than villains that he's been playing in the past. So I think that could be really fun.
That's true. He does kind of always play the villain.
Yeah.
And like all 4 shows I mentioned, he's like Barry's a weird one because he's like a nice villain. Like he's a drug dealer type character. He's that small boss, but like he'll like make you a tea party and like be the nicest guy. Like he's just a good guy, but like that's his whole character. He's like a nice mob boss.
Yeah, I've heard some really good things about him and Barry. My dad keeps talking very very highly of that show. So
it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of further goes into people's concerns that, like, there's a lot of heroes here. And again, we haven't got our Jimmy and your Perry White and your Lex Luthor and your Lana Langs and all those characters. Again, is that something that you're, like, really concerned about? Is that there's too much of a crowd here?
I mean, possibly, but it just kind of all depends on how much these characters are going to be used. Like, I feel like they're most likely just going to be here to flesh out this universe, show that it's lived in, possibly help with the final battle if it's going to be Superman versus a team up of villains. But yeah. I don't, again, I have faith in James Gunn. He seems to really be on board with making this a true Superman film. So I'm not worried that there's going to be too many characters that'll like overshadow him or anything like that.
Sure. I actually want to read, I don't know if you saw this quote from him today that came out, and people were asking, they were like, "Hey, James boy, what's going on? I thought this was a Superman movie." And this is what he had to say. I don't know if you saw this yet. So he
No.
said, "Superman is a man of two worlds. Clark with Lois, Jimmy, Perry, and Superman with his metahuman counterparts. How could I tell a full story about Clark/Superman without including all areas of his life?" So I actually think this is a very interesting quote, because I think that confirms that he is, like, he knows these heroes, it seems like these heroes are a part of his other world, a part of his Superman world, I guess. And this also confirms Perry White, which we didn't know yet. Like, we didn't know that this was that he was like confirmed yet. But how do you feel about how they are showing these two worlds and how they're like splitting them up, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that. We're gonna, I guess, get the dichotomy between his human life and his Kryptonian life. So I'm guessing that a lot of these different heroes that we're going to be seeing are maybe characters that Superman knows, and then we're going to be getting a lot of Daily Planet stuff and seeing Lois, seeing Jimmy, seeing Perry White, and that will be the characters obviously that Clark is closer to. And I'm almost thinking that we're going to get a very similar situation to what we're seeing in My Adventures with Superman right now.
Sure.
Maybe not exactly like, intern type of level, but I think it's going to be kind of, early days of Clark at the Daily Planet. I think Lois is going to be more so established than she is in the My Adventures with Superman series. I think she's going to be kind of like the journalist that Clark looks up to and tries to kind of like emulate maybe in a way, and then kind of maybe that's also where Jimmy Olsen comes into play, and then Clark and him are going to be teaming up, tackling stories, that type of thing. And then he's going to be also, talking to his hero buddies that possibly want him to join the JSA. So that could be fun.
That could be fun. I could see that maybe being a world. And I think, honestly, I think you may have cracked the thing here where you said maybe this inspires Clark, like, to maybe set up his own team.
Right,
I can't join the JSA. That's not my place. But the world needs a team of heroes still.
Mm-hmm.
And then he maybe we end it with him. I don't know, because
maybe
it's
like
usually
making
Batman.
A call to
Maybe
to like, so okay, what if the JSA is more so like a spec ops, like, secret team? Maybe they carry over the fact that maybe they are kind of working for Amanda Waller and are trying to like stay off the radar, right? So then Clark maybe thinks, okay, maybe as Superman, I should establish a much more public team of heroes that the world can kind of call on whenever crazy things go down. So he kind of makes maybe like a new, maybe Lois interviews him. And then it's like the big thing, like my interview with Superman, it's a big thing, and Superman makes kind of like this call to action, like, any of Earth's heroes that would like to step up, come join me in the Justice League of America.
No, I mean, that's kind of like a reverse of Young Justice, I guess, right? Because their whole thing was like they had to stay hidden and do the things that the public couldn't do, which led to the Outsiders, right? In season 3, where they're like, we need a public image that people can see. So maybe it's something like that. That's actually a really good theory. Which could lead actually very well into Waller, right? Because Waller comes up before Superman, so maybe I wonder if we get all these. We could see all these characters in Waller setting them up.
You can see these characters pop up there, yeah. And also we know that Vigilante is going to be popping up before Peacemaker, so maybe he shows up in Waller as well.
Yeah, that's 100% possible. I do think it's very funny. It seems like we got Vigilante before Batman. That's really funny to me. But you got any final thoughts on all this casting news? It's been a heck of a week, kind of just like processing it all. I assume we'll talk about this more in coming weeks, and we'll think of new things and what this means, I guess. But
yeah, no, I just know that there are a lot of suit videos on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. For sure. I wonder how long we have to wait, because I have a feeling this might be it for a bit. Because I think with the Actors Guild and the Writers' Strike, and
we might get a bit of a drought.
I think we've been. it's been so much fun, but we also think we are now officially less than 2 years away. We still got 2 years for this movie to come out. That's a while.
We've been
And
spoiled by all of these announcements and reveals and stuff recently. Like, it can't be this, like, stream of information for the next 2 years. Like, we would know everything about the movie before it even came out.
Yeah. There's a part of me that wishes maybe we could have waited, like, spread them out a little bit, like 6 months from now, this comes out then, or I don't know. But again, I think he's been smart so far keeping the hype up for this movie. Because if there's nothing for the next 6 months, people might forget about it. People might not be talking about it.
If I was James Gunn, I'd just reveal a suit every month. Like, you know, just this month we're gonna do the Superman suit, and that'll be the big story. Then we're gonna do like maybe the look for Lois Lane. Then we're gonna do the Green Lantern suit. And like just I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas there.
I think James Gunn's really good at marketing. I think he usually does a really good job. So I'm actually very excited, especially when we get closer to all of this. I do think rest of this year might be dry. And then next summer, I think next summer onward, we're going to get a lot of fun stuff.
Especially if they have more of a presence at the next year's Comic-Con.
But you know, again, we also have like Creature Commandos, which is next year, which I know is going to be a lot different than your live action stuff. But again, we also have Waller. That is like we've heard it might come out next year. There hasn't been anything official. If I had to guess, I'd say like late 24. So you know,
we like a fall series.
We could still get suits. Like we could get like if these characters are in that show, they could pop in and we could see their suits or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Okay. Actually, I want to preface this before we dive in. So this has been a topic of conversation I've seen over the internet last week or so. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it up because I'm not a huge fan of rumors on, especially when it comes to like the MCU, because I think it can get so carried away, especially with these big ones, especially when they mean nothing. But I do want to bring it up because I do think it is a kind of an interesting conversation. So I want to preface this. Not confirmed. None of this is confirmed. All rumor. All just bringing this up just to talk about what that would mean. So according to a like security guard on the set of New World Order or Brave New World, I think it's what it's called. So apparently a security guard saw Robert Downey Jr. around the set of Brave New World. This to me is very random. Like out of all the projects, for him to possibly pop up in, I think this would be the random one. This would be a really random one. Yeah. But if it's true, how would you kind of feel about just this?
I mean, well, okay, so wasn't the reveal of Andrew Garfield kind of spoiled because of like a pizza delivery guy or something? So I wouldn't put it past if this random security guard saw Robert Downey Jr., but also this could just be one of those random rumors that have just been thrown out into the wild because it could come true, but it most likely will not. Like you said, I think if he pops up in anything, it'll either be Armor Wars and like a flashback, or it will be Secret Wars as a multiversal version. But once again, kind of, I don't think that it's the right time to bring him back either, because it's still... We're not too far removed from Endgame, and it would just kind of lessen the impact of his sacrifice and everything like that. So I don't want to see him this soon.
No.
Like, I would love to see him back, but just not so soon. Like, I think it's too early for that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the current rumor here was like it's a backflash scene and it, you know, something to do with Ross or something, which again, I could see, especially if we are going in, like it seems like to be a very political movie. You know, he had a lot of shady pasts when it comes to like his businesses and stuff. So again, I could possibly see a world where they could fit him in here. But again, I think especially if he is in Secret Wars, which I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be in that because I think that takes away from all these new heroes. Like, if Iron Man just pops in, that's all people are going to be talking about. No one's going to be talking about Sam or Miss Marvel or She-Hulk. They're going to talk about Tony Stark.
If we see a version of Iron Man, it should be Tom Cruise Iron Man.
Yeah.
Just from the multiverse.
Yeah, I have a feeling he is in that. And especially if he's in this, it's not going to feel special when he pops up in like Secret Wars, right?
No,
Like no,
yeah,
like
you shouldn't overuse them.
yeah. I think in a ideal world for me, he shows up at the end of phase, whatever the final chapter is after this next one. So like you do 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. At the end of 9, he shows up again. If we even make it that far, I don't know what we're doing after Secret Wars, because I know there's people who think maybe we're gonna not reboot, but kind of like Crisis on Infinite Earths it and kind of do a soft reboot for new fans. And then who knows? Maybe then you're like, hey, do you want to come back and do it all over again? Maybe
let him come back and play Howard Stark.
That'd be kind of funny. Yeah, no. I mean, again, especially just for like this movie alone, I would hate that for Sam. That'd be terrible for Sam.
Yeah, because it would be overshadowing in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And I think people are already worried about that with like She-Hulk and Betty and all these characters, and like Red Hulk maybe, and all this stuff, and probably Bruce. Like I have a feeling Bruce might be in there somewhere to set up a potential Hulk movie that might be happening over the course of the next couple of years.
World War Hulk.
I think we're pretty close to that. But yeah, I mean, I think just not. I think we all can agree, just not the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move into some Elizabeth Olsen. Now, we talked a little bit about this last week, but it's been very clear that she's always kind of wanted to dive into the mutant side of her character. And that's something I've always also wanted. I don't know if that's just because we waited for mutants for so long. I'm like, she's a mutant, just give her mutant stuff. But she had said at like a con or something, she's like, I just really want to figure out the whole mutant thing. I would love to explore the X-Men so much. First off, she's coming back. I think it's really funny that like she keeps saying I'm dead now, but also like she says stuff like this, and I'm like, okay, you're clearly not dead. How would you? It's a weird one because we've established she's not a mutant, at least here.
Yeah.
How would you feel if we did somewhat of like a retcon or a multiverse thing where we do make her a mutant?
Okay, so I kind of touched on this, I feel like, in our last stream, but what if at the end of Multiverse of Madness, when she gets like crushed by all the rubble, right, she transports herself to another universe, and in this universe she shows up with, you know, Magneto, Quicksilver, and Polaris, and it's like the Magneto X-Men family film, and I know the House of M isn't that storyline, but just call it House of M, just for fun. And I think that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my dream, like, cameo type things. Has always been getting all of those kind of characters together and seeing them in this world. I think Scarlet Witch finds herself in a weird spot when it comes to the X-Men, because they've done so much stuff with her already. It doesn't seem that Magneto is in this, because I'm actually very curious how you do Magneto here. Is he just not connected to Wanda at all? Or has he been out there and we just didn't know it? Kind of like where do we take him? Because I assume they want to use him at some point. He's such a massive.
It just all depends on how they integrate mutants into the MCU. Like, have they always been there? Is it going to be a timeline change? Is it going to be a like multiversal merging type of thing? How is that going to work? Well, I feel like possibly Deadpool 3 will give us a better idea of where mutants fit into all of it, but
yeah, I mean, I think they've been slowly like bringing them in, because like we have Miss Marvel, we have Namor, and again, I think Deadpool actually is going to be very big. I'm actually very excited because I think it's clear people want the X-Men already. Like, we've waited, it's been like 6 or so years since they bought Fox, and like I want, like, back then I'm like, I need it now. I need to see them now, and it's been so long, and we now know it's because like it's like a rights thing. They can't cast new characters to play these characters, so that's why we're bringing in, like, you know, Xavier and Deadpool and Wolverine, and, you know, I assume most of that X-Men cast will maybe be around for either Deadpool 3 or Secret Wars or something to play those characters one last time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd love for her like I would love if they could somehow retcon things, be like, actually, I was a mutant, or something. I know this is gonna be really weird. I don't know how much of Ben 10 you watched, but in like the second series,
all of it.
Oh yeah, oh good.
Yeah.
But like in the second series, like in the OG, Gwen is like she's magic and she has magic powers, and then in the second series, Kevin's like, yo, you're actually an alien, dude. And
yeah, that was the most random thing ever.
And then in the third, and then in the final series, they're like, actually, you're both, and it's a weird
alien.
thing. Yeah, no, and I could see a world like that where like maybe she meets Magneto at some point and it's like, you're not, powered, you're a mutant daughter, or,
it's
something
like
that.
the connection to the chaos magic is because of the X gene or something.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah, I can see that. Miata, I'm confused with her character. Is she dead or not? We don't officially know yet, Miata. It is like they want us to think she's dead, but I think we'll see her again.
We didn't see a body. That's the rule with anything, any movie, especially superhero stuff. You don't see a body, the character's not dead.
Yeah,
and she's like one of, if not the most powerful character in the MCU at the moment. So,
yeah, I'm very curious how she fits in to like the Kang stuff, because I think she will. I think, especially with the multiverse,
just, obliterate Kang in about 2 seconds.
If it's the version we've seen, 100%. If it's the Ant-Man version.
Oh yeah.
But I wonder, because I almost wonder, because I think Doctor Strange might not let her in. Like, she's not a hero currently. She murdered.
No, she's gonna have to redeem herself. Like,
yeah.
I feel like she's gonna have to go off, do her own thing for a while before integrating back into the main hero
I don't know
group.
if she can't. Like, I don't know if there's anything that she could do to fully redeem herself. Like, it might be a Loki thing where, like, they're kind of on the same side, but they're not working together.
Oh, yeah. I think her ultimate, like, destination is very much so an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm. Or I could definitely see a middle ground if we do, like, it seems like the next era will be X-Men and mutants. Mm-hmm. So maybe she is like a middle ground for like Magneto or something, right? Like she's like, she wants to side with her father, but also he's like a killer and he's killing people. She kind of has to side between, like, be that middle ground character, which could be kind of fun.
Right.
I would love to see. Alrighty, up next here, let's talk about this. I've been so excited because, like, we only streamed about 4 days ago, and I was like, I don't know if there's going to be enough to talk about doing a stream 4 days later. And this came out. I'm like, we're golden. Let's do this. So the other day, I think it was, what was it, Sunday? This came out. Saturday?
No, this came out Monday. Yeah, Monday morning.
So, like, obviously last week we talked about that Deadpool suit, and I think we can all agree that's a really good suit. And we had talked about in a lot of detail, like, we need to see that Wolverine suit. We can't wait to see the Wolverine suit. And they just posted this image on the left here of just them walking together in this glorious suit. I mean, what a build up to this thing, right? Like, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine has always been a really weird case of, like, kind of setting up the X-Men for this generation of people who maybe didn't know the X-Men. And as that universe grew, it kind of felt like maybe they didn't want to associate themselves with as much of a comic book world, take things more seriously in a way. They didn't, I think the Fox universe to me always felt like they were afraid to be too comic booky. They were afraid to bring out the spandex all the time. And
they literally said that in the first X-Men movie. You guys seriously go out in these? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex? Yes. Yes, I would prefer the yellow spandex. Thank you very much.
And then, Hugh Jackman, he's a character who kind of felt like he's had many endings. Like Days of Future Past kind of felt like that was a bridging of his character, and he kind of left for a while. He came back for Logan, which was, in my opinion, such a great swan song for this character. Like, it was one of the best, I think one of the best movies, just like,
kind of like a very definitive ending for the character.
Yeah, I mean, he literally dies. It's such a perfect ending. And obviously people wanted him to, like, continue over to the MCU, and there's all the things, and then he was announced. And, it's such a build-up to actually seeing the suit. How are you feeling now that we have Hugh Jackman in that iconic yellow-blue suit?
Oh, it's great. Like, it is ripped straight off the pages of a comic. It looks like it's ripped straight from the old animated series. Like, this is literally everything I wanted in the suit. It's yellow and blue, not the yellow and black design that we saw in that deleted scene in The Wolverine. So I'm very excited that they decided to go full on comic book with this suit. It's not too crazy over designed with all the random MCU angles and stuff like that that you would normally get. It's very simple, yet it's effective. And I'm very, very excited to see it kind of in motion, to see it on screen and everything. Hugh Jackman looks perfect in the suit.
Yeah.
I know the only criticism that a lot of people have had are the sleeves, and some stuff did come out about that. There are some practical reasons as to why the suit does have the sleeves, and I am perfectly fine with that. 100% makes so much more sense now why the sleeves are there. And I think the suit just overall, just as a complete look, is incredible. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, and like, even though I think, obviously for his health he can't be, not have the sleeves. But like, knowing Deadpool and how meta they are and how in like that they are with the fans, I could totally see a scene where they get ripped off or something.
Yeah.
And like, there's a scene where he jumps and it is that iconic like Wolverine look for him. I assume we'll get something like that. No, but I think I totally agree with you. Like, these do look like some of the more just comic booky suits we've seen in the MCU, because like, even the MCU as well, I think they're getting better about knowing that they can do comic book stuff in live action.
Right.
And look at characters like Hawkeye. Like, they've never gave him that official purple suit and stuff like that. Like I wonder how they will look if they are in like the Avenger type films. Like, I wonder how they'll look among all the other heroes in there.
Well, I mean, I think it merges perfectly with, like, say, the Spider-Man suit that we got at the end of No Way Home. You were mentioning the purple suit. I mean, they basically gave him that in the Hawkeye series. So I think they're definitely heading in that direction of not being afraid to go super comic booky, super vibrant. Like, I'm just happy that these suits are so bright. Like, they're not a muted kind of like toned down leathery suit or anything like that. They are very much so bright and showing off the color to its fullest extent. And I just think that they both look great there, and they pop out so well.
100%. Do you think that the blue undies would have been too much?
Yeah, it would have been a little too much. It would have been a little too much.
I would have loved to have seen it, but I can compromise and not have it. I can totally get it. Even though there's still a part of me that's like, it would have been kind of cool just to have seen it. So we've seen dozens of these in the second photo here of them just fighting. Like, they've been fighting for the last week now. And I don't know, just this entire like, this whole thing is, I feel like, at least for me, things that I've imagined forever. Like, I've wanted this Wolverine versus Deadpool fight. We've been dreaming of this fight. They've teased it in both of the like Deadpool movies, and just on like social medias, they've had this back and forth together. Again, just the fact that we have Hugh Jackman and Deadpool in a movie together finally is absurd. I was actually thinking, because they're towards the end of their filming, and I know movies film in different spots and different places. Do we think this is at the beginning of the movie before they team up, or do you think this is like the end, like this is a climax moment? Maybe they disagree on a thing and they have to, like, kind of like at the end of Wolverine Origins, right, where like they fight, maybe like you parallel that movie.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, that definitely would make a lot of sense. I don't know why I kind of got this in my mind, but I almost thought it was like somebody was being mind controlled or something. I don't know why or how that would work, but I was almost thinking this could be kind of somewhere like in the middle of the film, because I'm always imagining it as this buddy cop multiversal adventure, and they're going from the Fox X-Men universe to the MCU, and then we do see like the destroyed Fox sign and everything like that, which is really cool. So it's almost like a Deadpool kills the Fox Marvel universe on his way to the MCU. Yeah. And we just get this fun fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if it was just for a couple seconds, we needed some sort of fight between them. Oh, yeah. I've always been under the impression that this is an R Logan, because they have talked a lot about how they don't want to touch what they did and that legacy. I think that's my preferred thing. So I could definitely see maybe a version of Logan who doesn't know much about Wade, who is like, again, I brought up my like X-Men 97 theory where like if we brought in that version of like Wolverine, he's very hot-headed, he's very he's not, you know, as level-headed I guess as our Logan is. So I think it'd be kind of fun to bring in another version of him. And just that, like, I have this image in my head, and I know we talked about it yesterday, but like I have an image where like Wade he needs Logan's help, and he goes to his grave and he's like, well, too late. And then maybe there's a scene where he gets to interact with the girl from Logan, and they get to have a nice, and you get to wrap up her and see what she's been up to. Maybe she's in like a Wolverine type suit, which would be really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I definitely think that she would be great to set up for the main timeline MCU. Like, honestly, almost imagine throwing her like on the Young Avengers or something.
Would you want that instead of a like Wolverine?
Well, I don't think we're gonna see Hugh Jackman past this.
Oh,
like I think that we will like fully put his version of the character to rest. So maybe kind of like another sort of passing of the mantle to X-23 would be fun, and then that's kind of our version of Wolverine for the MCU to go along with Deadpool. I
think I would just want a new Wolverine. Like I think I want I'm weird with like Wolverine because I love that character, but again, I do want to. I know we've had a long break since Logan, but I do want to focus on those other X-Men. But at some point, I would like another like Wolverine film. I would like to see him on the X-Men. I wouldn't hate if she was here as well. Like I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we've seen Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for the last 23 years. Like, he has been this character. He has embodied this character in so many different ways and everything like that. And I just, again, I don't see another actor playing this character in live action. Obviously, it's going to happen at some point, but I just feel like the most practical continuation is just the passing of the mantle to X-23, like it was kind of set up at the end of Logan. But again, I definitely respect the fact that you just would much rather see a recast and just see Wolverine continue. I love Wolverine as well, but I mean, both of them are Wolverine. It's kind of like just, again, the mantle.
I don't know. I at least to me, like, I didn't grow up on these movies as much, I think, as other people. Like, I watched them during COVID, I think. I think Hugh Jackman's fantastic as Wolverine, but I would also argue he never truly got to play as Wolverine. Like, he played Logan, I think.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I think there's so much I want to see him do, like that character do, at least in the MCU. And I think, again, especially if Phase 7, 8, 9 is a lot focusing on like X-Men and Fantastic Four. I think Wolverine becomes your new Iron Man. I think it's like Wolverine, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, maybe your Doctor Strange, and you know, those are kind of your big figures. I don't know though. Like, again, I would love to see her come in and get to like play that character still. But
yeah, I mean, I have also seen the criticism that they overused Wolverine. Because like, obviously in like the animated series and stuff like that, he's not as prominent of a figure as they made him in the movies. Like, they made him the main character.
100%.
So I would definitely be on board for, you know, focusing more, say, on Cyclops, on Jean Grey, on the rest of the X-Men, and then kind of have Wolverine be more so a background character.
100%. No, I full art. Like, he should not appear at all in the first movie. I don't know how you do it, because I think there's so many routes you can go when it comes to forming your team. I think maybe you do several projects with the X-Men first, and then you give him his solo project, because obviously you're going to give him a solo project, and then you can integrate him if that's, I don't want to say Avengers, because I don't know if we're going to do Avengers movies post Kang Dynasty, because I could see them just doing, I don't know, like my pitch for the X-Men have always been, do a show, do an ongoing show with multiple seasons, and those are your everyday weekly missions, but the movies are your big events. So like, you almost end a storyline in the movie form. So you can do your Phoenix and your Magnetos and your Apocalypse and like on the big screen, and that's how you almost wrap up the storylines. And that way, because there's so many X-Men you need to introduce. Like there's so many characters that I think can hold their own film. Like almost every X-Men, I think you could do a Scott and Jean movie, you can do a Storm movie, you can do a Cyclops. You could do so much with so many characters. We went on a huge tangent there. I'm so sorry.
No, you're all good.
I also want to bring up the Fox statue falling down. Again, I pitched that years ago when this film, when we kind of first heard maybe there's going to be a Deadpool 3 in the MCU. I said that'd be such a fun way, such a meta fun way to do it. Like if in universe Disney bought Fox and Deadpool had to like escape his studio and go into the MCU, I thought would have been such a fun time. And like again, like we pitched like Hugh Jackman coming back and doing like a road trip movie years and years ago. So again, I think this movie and these photos prove that the MCU listens to their fans. Like they listen that you want to do, like you want to have all three Spider-Man team up together. We wanted Daredevil back and he's back, and having all the Avengers together and Captain America being like Avengers, like those are things that we were asking for so many years. And I do love that about Marvel. Like I know it's so easy to jump on that train of hate when it comes to it. I know it's such a popular franchise now, and they sometimes put out stuff that we don't always love, but it's stuff like this that I love, that brings the fans together. Like everyone, like it was such a long time. Besides Guardians, like Guardians was a great movie because it felt like everyone was like rallying around it. But like with this being public for everyone, and everyone could react without being scared of posting spoilers, it felt like such a fun time to everyone just praising a thing again. That's always a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the last stream. We were like, once that Wolverine suit gets revealed, it's going to break the internet, and break the internet it did. And I'm very glad that they revealed that official picture before we got all of those set pictures. Like that was released early on in the day, and then later on in the day we got more of those set pictures. So they got ahead of things, and we're like, okay, we're going to a public location to film. We know people are going to scout this location and get pictures of the suit. Let's reveal a good looking version of the suit in a nice high quality 4K image before everybody, gets their distance photos of it. Like I feel like we would be singing a completely different tune if we had just gotten those set pictures of the suit rather than that full look at the suit. Like it doesn't do it justice without seeing it in full quality.
I wonder if the writers stuff, if that wasn't going on, if they would have gave us like a proper video, because I don't like, similar to what they did with like Spider-Man No Way Home, where like they like produced a teaser thing for it, where like what's the title of the movie, and then they finally say it's No Way Home like months later. So I wonder if there would have been like a fun little skit thing where it's like, if it's even just Wade going and getting the suit and being like, try this on,
right.
Logan,
I mean,
something.
They've been very good with the Deadpool marketing in the past, and I guess that is one thing that could suffer because of the writer's strike and the actor strike and everything, is like we might not get as much promotion as we're used to.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that they would like delay it before it comes to that, because like such a big part of Deadpool is the marketing.
Yeah,
like
I think, guess they're gonna have to pause filming in like 10 minutes.
If I don't know how much they have left, because I know Captain America has dropped filming, which I'm happy about. That's done. So hopefully that doesn't get like interrupted. I hope this, like I hope they don't speed run it. Like I think that'd suck if they were like, hurry up and get it done. But yeah, I don't know. I hope they don't get put on hold, because I think that could affect things if they have to like mentally take a break. Like you're so close to the end.
And then it would just be like, oh, we gotta to break for a very extended lunch.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is so much fun. I'm so happy we get to see these suits. I'm so excited for this movie. I think this has become my, like, it was Captain America 4 was my most anticipated, I guess, besides the like Avengers stuff. Like it was Captain America 4, but I think after seeing this, like it finally has hit me that this is a thing. Like
this is my most anticipated Marvel project for next year, 100%.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't think it, like, I knew he was coming back, obviously, but this hit me. Like
it's like you finally realize it's like, oh, it's actually happening.
Yeah, no, because I mean it was so long because like we heard about Deadpool 3 for years, like years
Hmm.
upon years. It felt more of a myth or a rumor. We're like, is it really going to happen?
The
Um,
elusive
yeah,
Wolverine return.
yeah, it's happening.
Somehow Wolverine returned.
Absolutely. Such a fun thing. So I do want to move over to our next category here, our main, I guess our kind of quote unquote main topic, and that is season 1, episode 4 of Secret Invasion. Obviously,
Ooh.
Secret Invasion. New episode came out today, early this morning. You watched it what at 3?
Yeah,
You
I
said.
watched it pretty much right when it dropped.
So we're now over the halfway point. As of now, we have 2 episodes left. Episode 3. This was an episode I was very curious about because those first 3, as much as I loved them, had definitely have been a slower burn.
Hmm.
They've been really just setting their world and setting the stage for I think what these final 3 episodes are.
Yeah.
So kind of your right off the bat reactions. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts on episode 4 of Secret Invasion?
This was another one that just kind of blew my mind at every turn. Like this was the shortest episode of the season. I know that was a big thing. I saw a lot of people were like, "Oh, 37 minutes, like that's not too long." But we hit the ground running in this episode. There was no time wasted. We revealed very early on that Gaia is still alive. She was able to, I guess, infuse herself with the extremist tech, similar to what Gravik has been doing to make himself a Super Skrull. I don't think she is a Super Skrull. Like Gravik, I think she just has that ability. But she survived at the end of episode 3. She's back. She's on the side of Fury and Talos now. And the big kind of center point of this episode was Fury versus his secret Skrull wife. And they were on 2 opposing sides. We got a little bit more of their backstory. And I think my favorite scene of the entire episode was just them sitting at the table, very casually. They're both just talking. They put their weapons on the table, and they'd like start, reminiscing kind of on the past and everything like that. Kind of getting a little teary-eyed about what both of them have to do. They know exactly what's happening, and then 3, 2, 1, draw, and then both the bullets miss. And I think the line was just so funny. Is like Fury was like, "Okay, I don't know if that means we need a divorce or we need to renew our vows." And I was like, "That's hilarious."
It's such an impressive scene. Like,
Yeah,
I am blown away every week what they are doing with dialogue. Like, I think dialogue, the older I get,
so
the more I
tense.
realize how important dialogue is. And I think
Yeah.
that's something the MCU's been missing, especially in recent projects. This scene was long, by the way. Like, this was not a short. This was like a 10-minute scene. It felt like of just them sitting there having a conversation, but just like I love the way it cut. Like they pull out the weapons, they shoot, and they cut.
Right,
and you have
it's just kind of
no
like
idea.
Right, and it's just like the house, and it's like it's all set. It's settled. It settles for a second. It lets you kind of really take in the moment.
Yeah.
And again, like this is my favorite aspect of the show is that they allow dialogue scenes to just play out. They don't cut things short. They don't interject jokes where they don't need to be. There is still humor in this show, and it's like I don't want to maybe like dark humor in a way, but just kind of like, or maybe dry humor is the best term for it. But again,
it's Fury. So I think because I think they do such a great job because Fury has had a lot of great lines over the years.
Yeah,
I love the scene, like we have that really like long drawn out scene where Fury is just very open, and you see Fury, like you see who Fury is with his wife, and then you have his scenes with like Don Cheadle, and you can see he's put up that like persona again, where he's just kind of like the fun, like what's going on, like that kind of like undercover type Fury again, and just seeing the two back to back, I think shows so perfectly who Fury is, that he can just do that in an instant.
Like he can be very vulnerable at times, but then he can just go to work. Instantly, and kind of get in that. He can go from Nick to Fury very quickly.
Yeah, no, again, I think it's these, like, I really don't think there's ever been a superhero project quite like this. Like, there's never, I can't think of a single other show where they just sit and have dialogues like this. Like, these feel like
it reminds me of
Quentin
the Marvel Netflix
Tarantino type
shows.
movies.
Exactly. That's actually kind of funny that you brought that up. Like, it does actually remind me very much of like a Samuel L. Jackson character in a Tarantino film.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Oh, yo, imagine a Nick okay, just call it Fury, directed by written and directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Billion dollar movie right there.
Yeah, no. I think it's so, again, like, even think back to Daredevil. Like, Daredevil had scenes like this. They really, really did. But even then, I don't remember a scene where they sat like this long. Like, it feels like they still transitioned to other things, I guess.
I mean, I think like Daredevil and Punisher maybe were the big two that did have like very long, drawn out conversation scenes.
Sure.
And I know that that's something that maybe not scares people away, but pushes people away a little bit, because it's not your standard Marvel action project that you're used to. It's very much so a character study, a character drama. It's about the relationships between all of these characters, and not necessarily the big action set pieces that these characters will be involved in. We did get a big action sequence in this episode, which was really well done. But I think the Fury and his wife dialogue scene, and then the Fury and Don Cheadle Rhodey scene in the hotel room were the two strongest scenes of the entire episode.
I agree. Yeah. And I honestly, I think after seeing the show, and again, I'm very nervous about these final two and how they can kind of wrap it all up, because I could see a world where, like, okay, these first four have been very heavy, but then it's like, okay, time to wrap it up and let's do big fight scenes and rush it along or whatever. But I think this does set the stage where I could be like, yeah, this is kind of where, like, this is the direction where I want for Daredevil. Like, I could see, like, if this is almost a test of, can we do it? Can we have a deep emotional character study show? Because again, like Daredevil had a lot of great scenes like this. Like, there's everything with like the church stuff in Daredevil was very similar to this, and how he can just have these deep emotional moments where he's like, he is confessing, he's putting everything on the table, but he knows he has to do it anyway. And I think that's some of the best stuff of Daredevil, which I've been very concerned. Where like I've never been too concerned about the whole like PG-13 thing, but I have been concerned about how they would treat the serious moments, I guess, and how they would slow down episodes and put in the like Marvel formula, which again, not always bad, but I think with characters like Daredevil, you need to kind of go back to those roots. And I hope they do that there as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, like this is very different for Marvel, and they're experimenting with a different formula, and I hope that they see that this project has been very successful in that. Like, I would love to see more things in this same style, in this same tone, in the same vein, I guess.
Which I'm terrified, because not many people are watching it. Like, when I go on Twitter, all I see is people like complaining that there's not superheroes, there's no Daisy Johnson, and that scares me, because I think that they're going to get the opposite of that, because I think like Marvel listens, like they listen to what people want. This is, again, I've said this over and over again, this is what we've been asking for, and now it's here, and everyone's like, yeah. And I think that's real disappointing. Definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder if this would have come out closer to like Endgame, if there would have been more of a positive hype around it, because I know they have lost people over the years. They have lost the people, like the people. Like, I wonder if the people who were looking for this mainly have almost dropped off now, and now you have left are the main MCU stans that will watch anything, So.
Like us.
Yeah,
we'll just watch anything because it's got MCU slapped on it.
Sure. Yeah, no, sure. Let's dive into Rhodey a little bit, because I love Rhodey. We've obviously, again, spoilers.
Our favorite scroll.
Spoilers if you've not watched the episode. We both kind of called it. I had said over the last week or so, I was kind of doubting it, just because it like, especially after episode 3, there felt like they were really pushing it. Like they weren't
Mhm.
even trying to hide it. I was almost like, are they doing the like Uno reverse card on us? Are they going to be like, teasing that he's a Skrull, but ultimately he's not? Because I know Marvel likes to do that a lot with like Ant-Man and Rocket and a lot of these stuff recently where they try to trick fans. But no, he was just straightforward a Skrull, and I like that. I think he needed to be. I think he is going to be that massive, because like they tease there's going to be like a massive character that we've known for a while, and I think he made the most sense. Like he's the only like legacy character, I guess, in here besides Nick.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I think I've asked you this before, but you watch Nando V movies,
Mhm.
right? Okay, yeah. So I think he was kind of the one that really
Yes.
started that theory years and years and years and years ago,
Sure.
and it was very funny too how once we got that reveal, he was like, oh, it makes a lot of sense, because he's like the one big character that we know so little about that it's okay that
Sure.
he can be a Skrull. And I thought that was a very interesting perspective to take on it, but it fits and it makes a lot of sense. And I loved how in that back and forth with Rhodey and Fury, how his demeanor just completely changed after Fury was like, there's a Skrull in the government. He's as close to the president as you and I are right now. And then he was just like, my cover's blown. Possibly we're gonna go the good old threat route. And he shows him that footage, and he's like, that's Gravik, and he's like, that's not what the public's gonna think. And he kind of completely flipped that entire scenario.
Yeah, I wonder when the switch was, because like I've been saying Civil War for a while now, and I think that's the most heartbreaking time.
Right.
I think anything before, like, it has to be before Endgame. I think, but like they do feel like very different characters. Like Endgame Rhodey and this Rhodey are very different to me. Like they are, like they don't feel like the same. Like even in episode 2 and 1 and 2, they felt very drastically different for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if it is after Civil War.
So
or
I
Endgame,
think
I mean.
maybe the most logical choice is that it happened in between Endgame and now. Like it happened at some point within that gap. I think satisfying the theories, it happened during Civil War. But if you almost want to go the hilarious, funny route, I think, again, we touched on this in a previous stream, is that he's been a Skrull ever since the recast between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2.
They just got it like slightly wrong.
Yeah, he was just like, maybe he's just like not, the Skrull is just not great at their job.
Sure.
So they're like, close enough.
You know what? If I'm going to put in a theory, I'm going to say it was in between Infinity War and Endgame, because I do think there's a lot of themes to Endgame, and this almost feels like a sequel to Endgame. And I think there's been a lot of like, oh, well, since the blip happened, they were able to invade and they were able to bring their troops in, and Fury wasn't around to stop them. So I could see if they all kind of came in during that 5-year jump. And I think we're going to see more, maybe in these next couple. I think we'll see more, because that's what I've wanted. I wanted a project in between those 5 years. Like during the blip, I've always wanted someone like it could be just like, it doesn't even have to be like super like connected. Have it be like Wonder Man or something, and that that's when that story takes place.
Very interesting era within the MCU right now. There's that 5-year gap where there's not a lot that we know about it, and yet you're right. That would be that's obviously the perfect time where the rest of the Skrulls kind of came in. Fury wasn't around, so that's most likely when they kind of got to work and kind of infiltrated everything while the entire Earth's defenses were vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. I am curious about Daredevil, because I know a big theory for a while was that the first half of like that show was going to be set like in between the blip, which is why we don't have Karen and Foggy and stuff, and then the back half would be present day, and that's why there's such a like that's why it's so long, because it's almost like 2 shows. Which I would love. I think that'd be very cool. That's a way of not having Foggy and stuff in the first half, getting to deal with a very different Matt. Maybe he dives into his dark side again because he lost the people he loves, which could be cool, because we kind of end season 3 in a very hopeful manner.
Right.
So that could be kind of cool. I didn't mean to go off track again.
No, you're all good.
But yeah, no, I'm very excited to see Rhodey. I think I think he does become a little bit mustache twirly towards the end, where he does like, okay, he's a villain now.
Yeah.
But I think he plays it very well. I think it's fun watching him do the villain. Like, I think that actor does it.
Very different character for Don
Mhm.
Cheadle to play. Like it's the same character but just evil.
Did you see the second Space Jam movie?
No, I haven't. No.
He plays the villain there as well. And
Oh, he
he's
does.
very,
Okay.
like, silly and corny, but he's kind of fun just to see him play a villain, which is a lot of fun. I do want to talk about the Gaia stuff. I know you kind of talked about it. That was my least favorite stuff, where we just open the episode and she's back.
Yeah.
I
kind of expected it.
I did too, unfortunately, but I didn't want it to. Like, I do think that takes away a lot of the stakes. I think the stakes, this episode especially, like, they furthered it even more. Like, I think with Maria Hill dying in the first episode, and then spoilers, Talos dying in this episode, I think those are such important deaths that should stay permanent. And I just wish we didn't do the whole death scene at all. Like, it's not really important, I don't think. Like, there's not much of a reason.
Yeah, like, other than to say, hey, it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it's not going to matter when people are going back and watching it on a binge.
No, it's going to be terrible.
You see her die, and then 5 minutes later, she's back. So at that point, you almost didn't even need to cliffhanger us in that aspect, and just kind of could have just showed, like, okay, she has the power right there in at the end of episode 3, rather than waiting an entire week and showing us in the next episode.
I almost wish it was done in a way where the audience doesn't think she's dead. Like, Gravik, maybe there's a scene where Gravik thinks he killed her, but then like a second later we see her get up and like, oh, okay, she's not dead.
Right.
I think
almost
that,
if we had gotten that scene that we got at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
At the end of last week's episode.
Just one long take. Yeah. I think that would have been, at least for me, better. I don't think there would have been as much. I don't know. It just kind of felt like, oh, it's just there to have a cliffhanger, and I'm never a fan of those personally. I want to catch up on chat. Miata's here chatting with us. I do love. I do watch it. I love the backstory every episode. I will say I'm loving them filling in the gaps for Fury. I'm loving that. We're seeing so many aspects. It's very cool seeing the 2012 timeline, I guess, and him bonding with his now wife a little bit more, and seeing the aftermath of like the Avengers. It really reminded me, I know you didn't watch much of it, but it really reminded me of early S.H.I.E.L.D., where like several times a season they would reference what the movies were doing. So they would reference Civil War, they would reference Age of Ultron and like Winter Soldier, just like a magazine or like a news thing. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit, which was fun. It was kind of cool. I thought the aging stuff always looks really good. Like, that just looks like 2012 Nick Fury.
Yeah, it does. Like, that, again, is scary good. Like, if nothing else, this show once again proves that just the VFX artists are so good at that de-aging technology now.
100%. Yeah, no, I think it's the best it's ever looked in like anything. Like, I know I know Star Wars does it a lot, right? But like, it just looks like him. Like, I never have an issue with it.
Like, the only issue with I guess with Star Wars when it does it is it still looks a little uncanny valley, like when the characters are talking. But here it's seamless. Like, if I didn't tell you that it was CGI, that it was just like makeup or something, like, you'd believe it.
Miata says, I've seen a lot of people hate Gravik, but I love Gravik. He's the best villain in Phase 5 we have seen, in my opinion. I don't agree personally. I mean, I think High Evolutionary is hard to beat.
Yeah.
Also, Kang, I thought was maybe not done in the way I would have loved, but I still thought he was solid. Are you liking Gravik? Because I don't know how I feel.
I will say I like Gravik more than I liked Kang in Quantumania, but I do agree with you. I think High Evolutionary is still my favorite villain of this phase so far. I think he works really well. I think he's very menacing. I think he definitely means business, especially killing Talos at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
But I don't really think we're gonna flesh him out as much as I would like. And he seems to just be kind of progressing towards being just kind of a very one-note, I want to take over the world for my people kind of villain.
I agree. I hope I think they can fix it because I think he's the weakest part for me so far. I think he's the weakest
Mm.
element of the show. But I mean,
Yeah.
you still have 2 episodes. I think you still could fix him and make him a really compelling villain. There's a part of me that kind of wishes Emily Clark was the villain, like Gaia was the villain of the show, because I think she is a very compelling character.
I almost feel like now though she's gonna be a replacement for Talos.
Yeah,
Because I think she's gonna end up being like, oh shoot, like I really screwed up.
sure.
I basically I got my mom's dead. I got my dad killed. Now I gotta help Fury
Sure.
defeat Gravik and stuff like that. And I think maybe she will kind of then be Fury's like head Skrull liaison for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that happening. It is very funny because it does feel like we keep losing our co-leads. Like it started as Moria Hill, and then Talos, and then here again with I mean, I guess we can kind of just jump into it now. With Talos died, which
Yeah.
I thought, again, I was spoiled. Unfortunately, I hated that I was spoiled for this episode. But Talos, Promo Central, what's up, bro? How's it going?
How's it going?
I thought it was a really well done death scene. Like I thought it was I thought it was actually one of the better ones we've seen in a while. I know the MCU has some good ones, especially in like the Infinity War Endgame era. But it feels like it's been a while since we've had like almost like a tragic death scene.
Yeah. I did love seeing when he was trying to like, bust open the car window and stuff
cool.
like that, and he was like half human, half Skrull, and
It
just
looked
like
really good.
and just the more he like exerted himself, the less energy he could put into keeping
It was
up
really
that like
good, yeah.
the human facade and everything like that, and going full Skrull, and just kind of like all the soldiers were like, it's an alien dude, and
Yeah.
then Fury was like, don't worry, this alien dude's with me, and then the one guy was like, yeah, we're chill now, and then he turned out to be Gravik, and I don't know when that swap happened. But yeah, the death, like, it surprised me when we got to it, but we were definitely like leading to that the more and more I think about it.
Mm-hmm. I did like the scene where like that soldier was like, okay, I'm gonna back
Yeah.
up, because I feel like the world still has a respect for Fury. Like I think,
Yeah.
especially in like that world of the like military and stuff, like
Right.
the world
right.
still sees him as a hero, as an Avenger type figure. So I thought that scene was really nice.
Do you think that there's a possibility that they once again kind of go back on a death, and maybe Gaia gave Talos some of that extremist tech, and he's gonna just be he'll be all good? Do you think they're gonna find a way to revive him or whatever? But maybe.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I like when deaths are permanent, and I think this one needs to be for real, because I think they just bring him back at the end. I like this show's score for me will lower by like an entire grade. I think like I can't.
Oh yeah, you can't do 2 fake out deaths in a row.
No,
like you can get away with it once, but twice, no.
Yeah, no, I will be very upset. And also, like, what is he going to do? Like, where will where will Talos fit in next? Like, maybe the Marvels, right? But like, he's not like a massive character that I can see like being a big part of future projects. Like, I think.
To be honest, I'm surprised he survived Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I mean, it was just nice to see him back, even for a little bit. I just kind of at this point now, I wish we would have seen more of him.
Yeah, no, actually, I wish this episode was a little longer, because I felt like I needed another scene between Talos and Nick, because those first 3 episodes were so focused on them. I wish there was like a nice like one-on-one moment before. Like I guess we had that little scene inside the car, but like one final almost like goodbye between them. But maybe that ties into his guilt that he didn't really get to say goodbye. Like he saved the president and like instead of him.
And he didn't really get to tell he didn't get to tell his best buddy like, hey, we're bros before the end.
I also want to bring up, and again, I know you didn't watch S.H.I.E.L.D. or much of S.H.I.E.L.D., but like there's something to be said about him losing Coulson 3 times.
Right, he died again?
Oh, I mean, in S.H.I.E.L.D. he dies like 5 times. Like, it's actually ridiculous. But it's done really well. Like,
okay.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. But he lost Maria Hill, he lost Coulson. There's a version out there somewhere, but like, and now he's lost Talos, and I wonder if this is going to put him in a very interesting spot going into these next final two. How emotional is he going to be?
It's gonna force him to up his game.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I see, because this whole thing has kind of been building that he's out of the game. Like, even his wife, I don't know how much of what he was saying to Rhodey was true, but, she's doing, like, he's weak now, he's not up to par to what he used to be.
Right.
And I wonder how much of that plays into these final two, where he has to be like, okay, I'm back in. I'm ending this now.
Yeah.
All the people he loves is dying. Like, I assume he thinks Guy is dead as well, so he probably thinks he has no resources left. Like, it's him and his wife, and that's probably it. So I'm actually
gonna have to go all John Wick on these guys and be like, "You working again?" Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, this would be a perfect spot for some Shield people pop in. But for the show and the themes, maybe you have to have it be like Fury against the world type vibes with it, which could be kind of cool. Again, I hope they wrap it up well. I'm so nervous because these shows have oftentimes not hit that landing that I want it to. Get to that spot I wanted to wrap up. But I hope, because there's a lot to wrap up still. Like, there seems to be a lot of story left. I wish this was like a 8 to 10 episode show. There's definitely story there. You could have done that, but
yeah, it does feel like we're maybe not gonna have enough time to fully flesh everything out in just 2 more episodes. But if they're like 2-hour-long episodes, I think we'll be okay. But if they're 35-40-minute episodes, then maybe that's a little like maybe.
Yeah, I'm expecting another 30 and then maybe another 50. Which, again, isn't always bad. Like, those are like, this is still like 2 times longer, 3 times longer than like the movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, these shows should have enough time to wrap up their stories. Like, they get more time than most of the MCU stuff does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm excited to see where it wraps up. Once again, I'm much more invested in this show now than I thought I was going to be going into it, and I think it was a good thing that I avoided trailers very much so for this movie or for this series, because I was like, oh, it's like kind of like a spy thriller. Like, I don't want anything spoiled for me. So I went in very, very blind. And I'm happy with the direction that it's going, and I think it has the potential to end off very strong. Just don't undo the impactful deaths and fully flesh out your villain and wrap us up in a very nice spot. And I think everybody should be pretty happy with that.
Sure. We're still under what we normally do.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely then maybe haven't seen the fact that we've gone for like 3.5 hours sometimes.
Yeah. We're actually on good track for our normal
we're making good time.
Actually, that kind of, if you don't have any other thoughts, any kind of closing thoughts here, do you have any like final things that you want to?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of it for Secret Invasion with me. Like, I think again, this is another very strong episode. And I'm just excited to see what we do in the penultimate episode and the finale.
Yeah, I do slightly want to talk about that fight scene just a couple of seconds longer. We did finally see the like Super Scrolls. We saw the like giant Groot arm, which was really cool to see. There's the fire one, and I was kind of confused where the fire came from. I don't know if they said.
Isn't that Extremis from Iron Man 3?
Maybe.
Still, kind of.
It
possibly?
could be.
Yeah, that's what I think, at least.
I also want to mention the whole president stuff, because like the president thing was a big thing we had speculated about going into this project, because we know in a couple of projects down the line we have a new president with President Ross.
Oh yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about. Okay, I didn't even connect. I'm not even thinking like that. Yeah, you're right. Like, okay, so he's not gonna make it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a big kind of theory going in, is like, is he a Skrull and he gets like impeached or something?
Wait, okay, and now I'm sorry.
I don't think he's a Skrull. I don't think.
No. But then there's also this whole like you got to think about the line of succession too, right? Mm-hmm. Thunderbolt Ross is not the vice president, so like the Skrulls are in deep with the government, it seems like, and we're gonna they're all going, and it's gonna have to lead down to Thunderbolt Ross possibly.
Yeah. I thought, I thought about it the other day, or after this episode, I thought, how funny would it be if like who, like, if he was a Skrull, if this president was a Skrull, he fakes his death and he becomes Ross, and he's just like, I'm the new president now, and
That'd be funny.
I don't think we're going there. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, maybe he just gets reelected. Like, maybe like there's not a death. Maybe he's not a Skrull.
Oh yeah, maybe
just get a new president.
standard election, and it just Thunderbolt Ross wins.
Yeah, which is
because
possible.
he flexes the fact that he's Red Hulk, and it's like, I want a Hulk as president.
Smash those elections. Yeah, no, I love this episode. I think this is my favorite one yet. I just think it kind of, like, everything just worked for me. There was no real slow points for me. I think the dialogue worked just super well. The fight scene was good. I think it's one of my favorite, like, Disney Plus fight scenes we've had. Like, we've had quite a few great ones, but I think this just really worked for me. And I'm curious how we kind of wrap everything up. With that being said, we're going to move our way over. So last week, let me get rid of this logo really quick. So last week, I announced that we were going to be bringing back our question of the week over on Twitter and Threads and Instagram and our YouTube community tabs. I asked y'all to since we're about halfway through the year, a little over halfway through actually, 2023. What were some of your most anticipated projects for the rest of 2023? And now we're going to be reading through your comments here. Taz, give me one of yours. Just like one thing that you're really excited for. That's not Spider-Man 2.
That's not okay. That's a different
when I tell you, most of these comments are Spider-Man 2.
Okay. I'm gonna go out and say the animated TMNT movie. I've been a big TMNT fan for a while. I know that the Michael Bay movies were not super well received. The last like full on like animated theatrical release was, I believe, like the movie from 2007, if I'm not mistaken. Sure. That one was really good. I remember going to the theaters to see that, and I watched it on repeat when I got it on DVD and stuff like that. I've been a big TMNT fan for a while, so
sure.
I'll throw that one in there, especially because the animation style just looks really good as well.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for that. I'm not sure if anyone else chose that, but if we do, I'll bring it up then. All right, looking at some of your comments, Jay the Zoomster, good friend, content creator, ally, I guess, he said the new David Fincher film, The Killer. He's one of my favorite directors, and I'm stoked to see what he does with it. Yeah, I mean, David Fincher's always a fun director to kind of tap into and see what he's doing. I haven't seen a lot of his films, but the films I've seen, I think are absolutely amazing. I haven't seen much for the Killer, but I think, I keep a lot up to date with the big comic book, the big blockbusters, but like the end of the year when like Oscar season comes around, my fun thing is I get to binge all these like highly acclaimed, like made films, and those are the kind of films I get to watch around that time. So I'm very excited. I don't know exactly when it comes out, but I bet it's going to be great. DH Terra, I hope I pronounced that right. He said The Marvels, and The Marvels is I think is a weird one for sure, because I don't quite know where that's going to land. I don't know about you, Taz, but like where does The Marvels land for you? Because I think I almost have to see Captain Marvel, or I guess this show first, to see how that ends.
Yeah,
I mean, get really excited.
I think Secret Invasion has definitely made me more excited for the Marvels.
Sure.
But again, we'll have to wait and see where Secret Invasion leaves us off. But again, I think it's a good kind of like bridging between them. I wasn't, super hyped for it or anything like that, but seeing kind of how Secret Invasion very much so plays off of the first Captain Marvel movie, I think we're going to be getting again, like a nice kind of continuation, and kind of the three projects plus also the Miss Marvel series kind of all going to be interconnected into this project. So
yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think we're in for. Yeah, I'm just curious to kind of see how we end here, because I don't mean to dive back into like Secret Invasion stuff, but I wonder if we almost end the show with either a Monica cameo, because like we know Monica and Nick are kind of hanging out in space. So I wonder.
Right, working,
I actually just wonder,
sword.
like he kind of just goes back to space, unless that's not our Nick, but
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
I think I don't know, he'll just stop the Skrull invasion and just go
He
chill
goes
back in
back to where he
space.
started.
He's like,
Yeah.
I did my Earth duties, and now I'll go back and chill up in outer space.
Sure, absolutely. DC DEECAE DC says Insomniac Spider-Man 2, along with a lot of other people. We will read other people's comments about it too. But yeah, I mean, it feels like everyone all around is just really, really excited for Spider-Man 2. I recently
Yes.
finished up Miles Morales, and I'm still ready for more. Just to live in this world. I think these are some of my favorite versions of both Peter and Miles. I think they nailed like who Spider-Man is at its core. Like that's just Spider-Man to me now, and I think that's so much fun.
Yeah, I think the Insomniac version of Peter is like the definitive like
adaptation. Yeah.
It just progression of Spider-Man. Like that is where a veteran Peter kind of ends up in my mind.
Yeah, and it's cool to just see that. Like we've had so much high school Peter. Obviously, everyone wants to see college Peter. That's what this is. It's an older Peter that has experience, and you really get to live in that world. And I think there is something to be said about just games, because games is such a fun medium for these characters where you get to be Spider-Man. You get to like connect with Spider-Man in a way that I don't know if you can in a comic or in a movie or in a show. Like you are Peter Parker, and I think that's the beauty of games.
And there's always just so much content there. Like I know you're spending a very limited amount of time with characters in a movie. You're spending a more extended duration of time, but still pretty finite in a series. But with the game, there's so much content. There's so much replayability, especially in an open world Spider-Man game. Insomniac has perfected the swinging. The combat is very reminiscent of, say, like the Arkham games and stuff like that, and it's just gonna keep building. And from what we've seen so far, I'm so excited. Like I've already pre-ordered my copy of the game, and I cannot wait for October.
Absolutely, man. I'm very excited. I'm hoping to get my hands on a PS5 before then, because I do really want to play it. All right, up next here we have Pi K4. They said Dune Part 2, because Part 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time, plain and simple. Fair enough. Taz, you have an experience with the Dune franchise, with the books or the old movie or even the new movie?
I do not. I saw the trailer for the second one when I went to go see The Flash, I believe. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize they were making a second one of these.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be honest, and again, nothing against your comment. I wasn't a fan of the first one. I, to me, found it incredibly boring. I haven't read the books. I hadn't seen the old movie. So I kind of went in, like, this was a new franchise to me, and I think there's some elements that are really, really cool. But for me, everything about the second movie kind of looks like a lot of fun. Like, it seems like such a well-made blockbuster. And I know the first one took away the Oscars back in, 2021? Like, it won like 17 awards or something crazy like that. Like, it's such a well-made movie, and I feel like this new one, like, it felt like the first one, you had to get all the dirty work done. Like, you had to set up this world and these kingdoms and these characters, and now we can hopefully have fun. We can hopefully dive into what this world is. I hope it does well. Like, I know they want to do the third one as well. So I hope it does well. Yeah. Mario Caluso. I am terrible with names. I'm so sorry. He said, for me, Wish and Wonka deserve to be mass promotions as high as Barbie. So yeah, I want to talk about Wish, because Wish is one of my most anticipated as well. I don't talk about it much on here. Massive Disney fan. And Wish has been a weird one, because this is their 100th anniversary big movie, right? It's supposed to honor the 100 years of Disney. They're going back to some 2D animated. We're going back to some Disney songs. We're really harnessing, what Disney is at its core. I'm very excited. That first teaser didn't do a lot for me as far as getting me really hyped for it. Also, just I think Disney's in a really weird spot when it comes to their movies and what they're doing, especially with Pixar. And, these last couple projects haven't been some of my favorite stuff. But I'm really hoping that this one kind of goes back to their core and, what Disney is. And it seems like it might. Like, it seems very in line with, like, your Tangled and your Moana and stuff, which I love. And again, also Wonka, which we talked about earlier, which I agree with Wonka as well. I think Wonka's up there for me. It's just stuff I'm just very, like, I think I am slightly, I know a lot, it's still a blockbuster film, but there is something kind of like original about that movie as well that feels kind of fresh and new. that we haven't quite seen before. Are you excited again for either Wonka or Wish?
I mean, I have not been like very big into keeping up with a lot of the new like
Sure.
Disney releases. I'm a Pixar fan. Like I do love Pixar movies and everything like that. I would
Sure.
say I much prefer like Pixar animation to like standard Disney animation even. Like I'm not as big into like those classics as I'm sure a lot of viewers are. But if these projects do well and there's a lot of hype around them and people say, hey, they're worth watching, I definitely will check them out.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean that's completely fair. I hope this one does well because I know Disney hasn't been doing well in the blockbuster, right? I guess in the box office they've been losing a lot of money. I know Little Mermaid might lose money. It looks like Elemental might lose some money. Even though it's doing better than everyone thought, but it might still lose money. Lightyear lost money, Strange New World lost money, so I hope this is a hit for them. I know November is rough though because we have like Hunger Games, then we have Captain Marvel, and we have Dune. So I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Marvel is kind of like Disney's big cash maker. So I mean, and then they can kind of release some of these maybe smaller, not as like blockbuster esque projects to kind of like fill in the gaps there. But yeah. I wouldn't worry about Disney's box office because again, I think Marvel movies are really where they make their big chunk of change at the box office.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down a huge Disney rabbit hole because, like, again, like Disney's one of the things I love. I could talk about it for hours. I think there is a concerning thing when it comes to the animated stuff because there's a talks of like, if this keeps up, could the animated movies just go straight to streaming? And it seems like that's where they want to do it anyway. Like they put like Turning Red straight to streaming, and they turned a lot of those early COVID movies into streaming. Like Encanto did horrible in the box office, but when it hit like Disney Plus, it blew up. I know like DreamWorks' newest movie isn't even going to theaters at all. It's going straight to like Netflix, and that's concerning to me. So that's the only thing I'm concerned of. Like I want these films to do well. I want them to be like I don't want them to just become these side projects and then all their sequels and reboots become their main focus. That's never something I want. But we'll see. Darth Bunyan said, for me, it's Loki season 2, then the Marvels and Blue Beetle all tied. Yeah, Loki season 2. I'm so excited. That might be my most anticipated show of the year. I didn't like it was back and forth if I was more excited for Loki or Secret Invasion, kind of going into Secret Invasion. But I think Loki might be it for me. I loved season 1 so much.
Yeah, I agree. Loki was my most anticipated Marvel series for this year, and I think it still is. Just because of how good season 1 was. So I'm very excited for it. I think this is going to be another fun, just kind of extravagant adventure.
Sure. Yeah, no. And it almost feels like the most setup for Secret Wars, I guess, or like King Dynasty as well, because...
Yeah, I think it's going to tie in a lot to King Dynasty because I know we're getting, Victor Timely, so...
Yeah, and it feels like the one project on their roster that like, okay, this directly ties to what we are seeing. Which I'm excited for. Miata, I'm pretty sure that you would count Miata. I guess it's Blue Beetle. I just think I want to see the take if it's similar to Young Justice. No, that's completely fair. I think at the beginning of the year, Blue Beetle was at the very top of my list of movies, but I think the more trailers we've got, the more negativity surrounding everything. I'm excited for Blue Beetle, but I'm also slightly nervous as well, I guess.
Yeah, I know we kind of got our big thoughts on Blue Beetle out earlier in the stream, but yeah, just overall, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a very interesting jumping off point for the new DCU. But I'm very excited for it. I think having your main star also being Sholo from Cobra Kai, I think that's going to be another massive draw for people. I'm big fan of Cobra Kai, so I think Blue Beetle, Cobra Kai style. That'll be very fun.
And then our last two comments from Kai9444 and Joel have both said Spider-Man 2. He had said, honestly, Insomniac really nailed the first game along with the DLC and spin-off in terms of the storytelling, graphics, gameplay. So I have no doubt the Spider-Man 2 is going to do great as well. I think we agree. I think we're all... It just feels like everyone's really excited to get more of this world and this franchise. And just to be able to go back and start swinging again, I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Especially now that they've kind of like removed that swing restraint where it wasn't allowing you to pick up so much speed because the old consoles couldn't load the world in quick enough. And I know that there have been mods made for the PC version of the game to allow you to swing a lot faster. But just from that gameplay that we saw released about a month or so ago, we've got the web wings, we've just got new traversal abilities and stuff like that. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so fun.
Absolutely. I'm just excited to swing back into it, I guess. With that being said, to kind of end it all off, as we finished one question of the week, we have to prepare for next week. So next week's question, with all of these big characters kind of getting casted for the DCU, I asked you guys, what DC character do you want to see a part of the original Justice League lineup that we don't normally see? So obviously, with this announcement, a lot of people have been wondering, could Supergirl be part of this original lineup? Could Green Lanterns or Mr. Terrific or all these characters, maybe a Red Tornado? Let me know. I will be posting this over on our Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And I can't wait to read them. Before we wrap up, though, I completely forgot that we didn't say some of ours. Do you have like another one that you're really excited for, or is it just Spider-Man and?
I mean, literally, I could find hype in all of these. Spider-Man, TMNT, Loki Season 2, Blue Beetle, like I'm just excited for the back half of this year. Like we have a lot of fun stuff coming out.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's so much I'm really excited for. Obviously Loki and Invincible and all those stuff. I honestly, I think I'm really, as much of a superhero guy I am, I think I'm really excited for the non-superhero stuff that's coming out. Like we have the new season of Sex Education coming out. We got a new season of Heartstopper, which I'm a huge fan of. This is, I don't know how many people are really excited for it, but I'm really excited for the upcoming Hunger Games movie. I love those films. I think they're a lot of fun. So I wasn't very excited at first because I kind of thought it was like, oh, it's just going to be a random drama. But finding out, like seeing that trailer, seeing all the cast that's in that, and seeing it's like another proper Hunger Games movie, like they're in that world again. They're like, we are competing. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to dive back into that world. But with that being said, Taz, I think that's about it for us. I think we covered almost everything. Do you have any upcoming projects you want to promote, you want to shout out for the next week or so?
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on a video for the first 2 episodes of My Adventures with Superman, just a fun little review for that premiere. I know we are getting our next episode in a couple days' time, but I'm trying to get that video out as quickly as possible. It was gonna come out earlier, but I had to put that on the back burner and make my fun Wolverine suit video. So yeah, My Adventures with Superman video coming later this week, and then I will most likely also be doing a more in-depth breakdown for that Ahsoka trailer that released yesterday.
That is very fair. I'm very excited to see all of that stuff. And then just for me, I don't know what my week looks like. I don't know if I have any straight up new videos coming out, probably just clips from the stream. We're doing another one of our Doctor Who watch parties on Sunday. I'm unsure. I've thought about trying to set it up over on Twitch. I'm not a Twitcher. I don't go over on Twitch, but I hear that might be the preferred way to do these watch party type systems. So, I'm very excited to dive into season 3 of Doctor Who because I hear we got some cool stuff ahead. But Taz, thank you so much for joining me for our 2-hour. We're almost at the 2:30 mark. That's short for us. I will say in our stream, we streamed last week. It was a crazy week last week. And we streamed for like an hour 40, which in normal standards, that's a long stream. Hour 40 is still a long time for most people.
Yeah.
But there was an itch in my head that was like, it was too short. It wasn't long enough. And I think this itched it for me. But again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for everyone who stopped in today. Thank you Tackle Shrime, who popped in recently. How's it going, buddy? We have Miata in the chat. We had some people earlier. We had Chosen Vader in the chat. We had our Promo Central in the chat. Thank you for everyone who popped in today. And we should be back next Wednesday, maybe. If everything lines up, we should be back next Wednesday for some more Secret Invasion, some more My Adventures with Superman, maybe a Batman casting if that comes out. Probably not. Probably not. But we'll see. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Yeah. Give us who do you want to be casted next? Just like fire. Who's next?
Random. We're gonna get reverse flash casting.
Not Jason Todd.
I mean, we already know Jason Todd has been cast.
Maybe. I will see you guys on the flip side. Goodbye, guys.